Craig Clay has now been given that goal after 88 minutes. It's still a really good point, though, for Leyton Orient in the conference. And can I just take a moment or two for the first time, but not the last this season, to say good luck to my lot, Hartlepool, away at Maidstone this afternoon under Matty Bates in his first game as permanent manager. Let's go on about, shall we? Starting in the Championship, Wigan back in the Championship against the Sheffield Wednesday side, who finished last season pretty well, but they haven't managed to spend anything during the course of the transfer window. How's it begun, Neil?
Wigan on the front foot, and like you say, Sheffield Wednesday, they haven't added to that team, which finished the season really strongly, so maybe renewed belief after a disappointing season for Sheffield Wednesday. Wigan have got a few new signings out there. Darren Gibson, ex-Sunderland, who just signed yesterday, he's making his debut. Antone Robinson, left full-back, signed on loan from Everton, and Cedric Kipra, big centre-half from Motherwell. And the only chance we've had down the left-hand side, Robinson, young full-back from Everton, did well for Wigan, crossed the ball in, and Will Grigg had a tame effort, a little back heel, which was comfortably saved by Sheffield Wednesday. The difference for me about this Wigan team, which previous seasons have been relegated from the Championship, Nick Powell. How big a player can Nick Powell be for them? They haven't scored goals, they've been relegated twice previously in the Championship. He could be the difference for them.
There's the first goal of the 3 o'clock kickoff. So Matt Godden has marked his Peterborough debut, moved from Stevenage with a goal in the very first minute for Steve Evans' side. One of 14 new signings at London Road. Let's hear about it. Stuart Jarrold.
Yeah, brilliant goal it was too. Jason Cummings, first time cross from the right, and there was Godden, the man who got 30 goals in 75 games of Stevenage, turning it with his right foot just inside the far post. Peterborough 1, Bristol Rovers 0.
Paid Stevenage £400,000 for Matt Godden, and already he's played a tiny little bit of that. Bristol City sat second in the Championship on Boxing Day last season, rather faded away in the second half of the season. Up against big spending Nottingham Forest, who've got to improve their away form. 13 away defeats last season. How's this one started, Tony Cotty?
Well, Forest have been the better team so far, Jeff. We've only played, 3 or 4 minutes so far, but a big sort of pressure on their new signing, Carvalho. You know, what's he going to bring to the table for Forest? Been involved immediately, took a corner on the left-hand side. Wasn't the best of corners. Eventually came back to him, still on that left-hand side. And he whipped the ball in for Murphy. His glancing header went just wide of the post. Not seen a lot from Bristol City so far. Been all Forest.
What a start for Paul Hurst. The new Ipswich Town manager. His side are in front within the first 5 minutes, Mick.
Yeah, they've a great bit of play by Scousey there, and Flynn Downs, it's put out wide, and Edwards is coming from the far post. He's got it wide here. Jonas Nutt has put it on to Freddie Sears has come on the inside on his right foot. He put a great cross in, and Edwards has come and met it at the far stick, and it's in the top corner. It's a brilliant start for them. But Flynn Downs and Scousey are playing further forward. Scousey's in the box, causing mayhem. And actually, he's took 2 defenders away, and Edwards has scored. Great goal.
Quinn Edwards, £700,000. They paid to Peterborough for him, and he's off and running. St Mirren, Jack Ross, of course, is the Sunderland manager now, but he got promotion for St Mirren last season. Daniel Mullen has put St Mirren under Alan Stubbs this season in front. An Ayr United lead by a goal in the Championship. Newly promoted, of course. They've won all of their League Cup games this season. Would you believe Lawrence Shankland's penalty there is his 8th goal of the season? Let's go and hear about an early goal in the game at Ashton Gate, Bristol City against Forest. This had goals written all over it. Who's broken the deadlock, Tony?
Well, I told you we hadn't seen much of Bristol City, Jeff, so you know what's happened. They've gone and scored. First time they get the ball forward, they take a corner on the left-hand side. Eliasson with the corner. First one that comes in, I think it was Joe Bryan who hit the shot, and it was well saved by Pantilimon. They only just sort of wedged the ball back out to the left-hand side. And when the cross come back in again, it's Andreas Weimann with the header. He's about 6 yards out, a really powerful header right into the top corner net. Great start for Bristol City, 1-0.
Great start for some debutants today. Andreas Weimann, the latest, they paid £2 million to Derby County for him, and he's marked his debut against Forest by scoring. And as you can see, there's been a goal down at Griffin Park as well, where Brentford have taken the lead against Championship new boys Rotherham. Rob Palmer.
Yeah, quick fire start from Brentford, fully deserved as well. They came out of the traps in the very first minute, attacking Rotherham, new to the division. It was Henrik Dalsgaard who started the move there, a World Cup play. Of course, he was away with Denmark, and the man on the end of it was Neil Maupay. He passed a fitness test just before the game, and my goodness, he is sharp. 1-0 Brentford.
Neil Maupay with a goal there. By the way, Brentford, interesting experiment this season. No captain at Brentford. They're having a leadership group instead, rather than captain. It's working OK at the moment, isn't it? Neil Maupay got 13 last season. He's off and running this season. Celtic are off and running in their bid for an 8th consecutive title. They newly promoted Livingston by a goal to nil. Mark Benstead.
Yeah, Tom Rogic back in the starting 11 after his World Cup duty with Australia and back on the score sheet. Johnny Hayes delivering the ball in from the left, his first competitive start since injury back in December. Great ball in, Rogic met it on the forehead, just guided it past the keeper. Celtic lead by a 1-0.
Crewe have taken the lead in League Two against Morecambe. Morecambe 5-2 favourites to be relegated this season, and behind early doors. And Charlie Kirk, who struggled for goals a bit last season, but he's a young player, is the man who's put them in front after just 6 minutes. And in Scotland, Peterhead a goal behind against Queen's Park. They finished second in that table last season. Scott Gibson is the man who's got the world, puts Queen's Park in front. And St Mirren's lead in the Scottish Premiership didn't last too long at all, did it? Because Dundee are back on level terms. And Elton Nguatala is the man who's got the equalising goal. Goal to tell you about, or rather, maybe I'm a bit premature there when I said a goal, but there is a penalty in the game at Boundary Park where Oldham are taking on the MK Dons under the management, of course, of Paul Tisdale. Faye Carruthers.
Yeah, and it's been a great start for Paul Tisdale as well in his first game, because Kieran Agard has just put MK Dons ahead. Williams was brought down in the box, tugged down, blatant penalty. Agard stepped up and scored it. 1-0 to the MK Dons.
1-0 to the MK Dons then, so it's a great start. They lost 23 times last season. Paul Tisdale, 12 years at Exeter, so time's changing. Kieran Agard, the man who's put them in front. Oldham, 21 seasons at the third level of English football, but relegated last season. Now, what about West Bromwich Albion? A lot of people wishing Darren Moore well this season, I think, in his job. Permanent manager of West Bromwich Albion. Now 11 points in 6 games they took from him at the end of last season. Just not quite enough to keep them up. They're playing Bolton Wanderers today. How's it begun, Ian?
Well, certainly positive from Darren Moore's point of view. Got the ball down, certainly into Jay Rodriguez out wide. A couple of really good deliveries from Matt Phillips. So they have corner after corner, 3 corners in a row here. Not the greatest delivery. Actually surprised me because Matt Phillips took them rather than Chris Brunt, probably in swingers for the big one. Chance here. Oh, really well cleared by Wheater. But there's a real threat on the counter-attack. It's that man, Sammy Amiobi, who I think a lot of clubs looked at, but they managed to sign him on a new 2-year deal. He just had a little clash with a defender and needed treatment. But it's a lively game. They've been very energetic at West Brom. Very good.
Can't sort out who got that Leyton Orient goal. We thought first of all it was Josh Coulson. It was taken away from him, given to Craig Clay. It's been taken away from Craig Clay now as well, and given as a Liam Hogan own goal. What the heck, Leyton Orient have got a point from their trip to the northwest. Edinburgh City have taken the lead against Albion Rovers. Blair Henderson has scored from the penalty spot. Let's go down to the den, shall we? Millwall were fantastic at home last season. Just missed out on the playoffs. In truth, 3 points off the playoffs last season. Middlesbrough, of course, they missed out in the playoffs last season. Let's see who started the better. Johnny Phillips.
Millwall have started the better, carrying on where they finished off last season with that great win at Aston Villa, at home to Aston Villa on the last day. The crowd are right up for this one, and they've taken it to Middlesbrough early on. The veteran Silver Fox up front, Steve Morrison and Lee Gregory, causing plenty of problems early on. The best chance they had came from a corner, though. Sean Williams swinging it in from the left-hand side and almost forced in by George Saville. It took some sharp goalkeeping by Darren Randolph to keep the scores at 0-0.
Stenhousemuir promoted last season. They lead Brecon City by a 0-0. It's a Dougie Hill own goal. Brecon, by the way, the first Scottish club in 126 years to go through an entire season without a victory last season. They've started badly this season as well, but Crewe have had the sort of start their fans must have been dreaming about last night. They're 2-0 up against Morecambe now, and Alex Nichols has just got their second goal of the afternoon. Joined Crewe from Barnet, so it's a goal on his debut for him. Let's go and find out what's happening in the game between Birmingham and Norwich. You feel a bit for Gary Monk, don't you? Birmingham City, he's their manager, of course, but they're under a transfer embargo against a Norwich side who sold their top 2 goal scorers from last season. So it'd be no surprise that there weren't too many goals in this one, Matt Murray.
Yeah, but it started off pretty well, Jeff. It's been a good atmosphere. The Blues fans are in great voice. Norwich City fans have travelled well. There was a routine save for Tim Krul in goal for Norwich. Gardner shot from distance, but the best chance of the game came when Marshall went down the right for Norwich, whipped in a ball, and there's Jordan Rhodes, and you know he can score goals. Powers his header goalwards, but young Connell Truman making his debut for Birmingham City. Brilliant save to tip the ball over the bar to keep the score 0-0.
Wigan really strong at home last season, and maybe they're going to be really strong at home again this season, Neil.
Yeah, they've got the opening goal and they deserve it. They've started the game really, really brightly. We mentioned about them having a few debutants out there, and the young left-back, Anthony Robinson, he picks the ball up on the edge of his own penalty. He runs. He ends up in the left wing position. almost a dead ball area. He crosses the ball. Sheffield Wednesday clear it, and the first to react is Michael Jacobs. He takes a touch, he hits his shot, takes a slight deflection, and it's just enough to beat the Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper Dawson, and that's the opening goal for Wigan, 1-0.
13 goals he got last season. He's got one this season. When we went down to the Den a moment or two ago, Johnny Phillips said Millwall were having the better of it. Well, they certainly are now, Johnny.
Yeah, they're deservedly in front here, and it was brilliant work by Lee Gregory on the right-hand side. He did so well to pick his pass in the middle for Aidan O'Brien, running deep in from midfield. He lost his marker and buried the finish. Randolph had no chance whatsoever, and the Den erupted. They're loving their football here, and Neil Harris, and they lead 1-0.
Rochdale survived on the final day of the season in League One last season. They've started this season very well at the Pirelli. Mike Jones.
They certainly have a long crossfield ball from Michael Williams, picked out Aaron Wilbraham. He headed down into space. There was acres of space for Brad Edmond to come in and pick his spot and put the visitors in front. Burton 0, Rochdale 1.
Another ex-Peterborough player who scored on his debut. Now, I just want to take a moment here to say that Russ Green, the chief executive of Rochdale, banned from football for a year. He's a mate of mine, so I'm totally biased. Really, really harshly dealt with. Falkirk 0, Inverness Caledonian Thistle 1. George Oakley has got the goals, but Inverness Caledonian Thistle in front. Brentford in front by a goal to 0 against Rotherham. Rotherham, in the last 3 championship seasons, they finished 21st, 21st and 24th, and they've not made the best of starts to this one, that's for sure, Rob Palmer.
Yeah, they have nightmares about last time they came here as well. It was their relegation season. They lost 4-2 and were virtually down, and they are rocking on their heels at the moment. Rotherham, another couple of chances all in quick succession for Neil Morpay, who scored that opening goal, and also to Chris Mepham, but the goalkeeper stood his ground, kept it out, but it's all Brentford at the moment.
All Brentford. I wonder how things have started at Deepdale. Queen's Park Rangers. Steve McLaren is in charge now. But remember, this Queen's Park Rangers side had to come to a £42 million settlement with the EFL for breaching financial fair play regulations in the 2013-2014 season. So they won't have been splashing the cash. How's it started, Bianca?
Well, it's North End who are looking the better team at the moment. They've had a couple of great chances. They're dominating the ball well. The first chance came from Tom Barkhazen, and he puts in a lovely low ball across the box. Callum Robinson on the left-hand side, completely unmarked. He had plenty of time, but he curled his shot just wide. And then Barkhazen again on the edge of the box has a pop, but it strikes the top of the net. It's North End who are looking better. QPR not the races yet, 0-0.
Tyler Walker's 5th loan spell away from Nottingham Forest. He hasn't messed around before getting on the score sheet, has he? He's put them in front against Newport. John Temple.
Yes, indeed, Jeff, the son of Des Walker, the former Sheffield Wednesday and Nottingham Forest central defenders, reacted very quickly. It was a corner which was only half cleared by the Newport County defence, and there was Walker with a terrific half volley on his debut into the far corner. Mansfield 1, Newport 0.
First goal since December for Tyler Walker. They're not won in the last 7 home games. The switch Steve Evans going to Peterborough didn't really work for Peterborough, and Dave Flitcroft coming in for Mansfield didn't really work for Mansfield either, but maybe things will change this season. So Ipswich, a goal to the good, and Paul Hurst. Gwyn Edwards getting the goal there. Of course, Blackburn Rovers had a lot of goals in them last season. How have Blackburn responded, Mick?
Not very well at the moment. Ipswich are dominating this game, I have to say. I'm impressed with the signings that they made. Ellis Harrison's a real handful up front. They're playing it up to him, and he's winning certainly most of the balls. Trevor Shalabar in the middle of the pitch is doing really well, and of course Gwyn Edwards has scored. So, and Donasian, he's not had a lot to do yet, but what he's done fine. So all those 4 players that fitted into that team, at the moment they're dominating it, and Blackburn are finding it hard to get out of their half for the moment.
Goal in the National League there. Maidenhead 0, Gateshead 1. Gateshead have had terrible problems financially during the course of the closed season. Now, the bookies' favourites to finish bottom of that division, but they made a great start, and Greg Ollie is the man who has got that goal. And A&A have just got a second goal against Partick Thistle, so they're really enjoying life back in the Championship, that is for sure. And Lawrence Shankland has got both of those goals. By the way, he's already got 2 hat-tricks this season in the 4 games that he's played in the League Cup, so could be on for a hat-trick of hat-tricks inside the first 5 games. Let's go and find out what's happening in the game between Bristol City and Nottingham Forest. City in front early on. Have Forest responded, Tony?
No, they haven't, Jeff. No, it's been really good from Bristol City. They've dominated it since the goal went in, and just very nearly got a second one. Another corner, a licensed corner, good left foot on him. He swung it to the far post. Just watch this. Forest on the attack, played across the goal. It's been cleared. The header came in from Marlon Packett, and it was headed off the line by Ben Watson. Really good defensive header. Best bit of spell we've had from Forest. Now Bristol City going to clear it. Still 1-0 City.
Must have a slightly strange feeling at St James's Park today. Paul Tisdale's been in charge of Exeter for the past 12 years. Matt Taylor is the man in charge today, and he's made a pretty decent start, Tony Colliver.
Certainly has. Exeter 1, Carlisle 0. Jonathan Fort, good work from him. Crossed in from the byline into the 6-yard box. There was Nicky Law to slot home easily then. It was Exeter 1, Carlisle 0.
Of course, a bit unusual for Carlisle as well, because Keith Curle had been in charge there for 3.5 years before walking away. Deadlock was being broken down at Fratton Park, Portsmouth against New Boys Luton. A lot of people think these will both have good seasons this season. Who's in front, Dickie Davis?
Portsmouth. It's a great move down the right-hand side by Ronan Curtis. You see the defender slip, he gets in, beats another to the byline, pulls it back. Jamal Lowe, right time, right place, slots it into the bottom left-hand corner. 1-0.
Luton, 94 goals last season, so don't write them off behind early on to Jamal Lowe's goal back in the Scottish Premiership. Hamilton lost 11 home games last season. They lead Hearts by a 1-0, and Michael Miller has got what's his 3rd goal of the season. Of course, the other goals are coming in the League Cup, first day of the Scottish Premiership season as well. First day of a managerial career for Joey Barton in charge at Fleetwood. Will Joey Barton be pleased with what he's seen of Fleetwood against Wimbledon so far? Peter Smith.
It's been a really curious start for Fleetwood Town. They won 7 of their pre-season games with a 4-3-3 system, but today Barton has tweaked it to 4-2-3-1, and they haven't really got any momentum as yet. Just one long-range effort from Conor McAlady that was spilt by the Wimbledon keeper Tom King, but grabbed at the second attempt. Only one Wimbledon chance so far, a Joe Pickett header at the far post that sailed over the bar. It's Fleetwood Town 0, Wimbledon 0.
We've got to go to Brentford in a moment or two, but instead, let's go to the game between West Bromwich Albion and Bolton Wanderers. West Brom relegated last season. Bolton surviving by the skin of their teeth, but Bolton threatening to upset
the box, he gets between it, heads it into the ground, it bounces up and past Sam Johnson into the top left-hand corner. 1-0 Bolton.
Making his debut, having signed from Charlton. Of course, remember they stayed up last season. Aaron Wilbraham with that very, very late goal against Nottingham Forest meant that they stayed in the Championship, and his reward, he was released by the club, gone to Rochdale instead. That's football for you, isn't it? Montrose 0, Arbroath 1 in Scotland in the Angus Derby between those two sides. Ryan Wallace has got the goal there. 19th of the season. I'll be talking about Angus derbies a lot, by the way, in the Scottish First Division, because for the first time in a long, long decades, all 4 Angus-based clubs are playing in the Scottish First Division. 4 for Arbroath, Montrose and Brechin City. In the meantime, a shout from Mick McCarthy. There's been a second goal. Mick.
Yes, and it's from Blackburn, who have had nothing really. They've got a soft free kick and they put a good delivery into the far post. They've not really marked well. Bart couldn't get hold of it. And Danny Graham does what he does. It's dropped him in the box and he's just bashed it in the bottom corner. But they're not marked properly. They'll be disappointed with that. They've not defended very, very well at that free kick. And they've controlled the game. They've been excellent so far. And it's just a soft free kick that's been given. Of course, it's ended up in the net.
Danny Graham does what Danny Graham does. He got 17 last season, off and running this season. Stevenage have taken the lead against New Boys to League 2. James Ball is the man who's got the goal against Mickey Mellon's side 3 years out of the Football League. And there's been a second goal as well in the game at the DW Stadium in between Wigan and Sheffield Wednesday. What's happened, Neil?
Yeah, it's the equalising goal for the away side. It's the first shot they've had. It's across from the left-hand side, Adam Reach. And we said about the new player making his debut, the centre-half, Kipra, just signed from Motherwell, completely misjudges the cross. He goes to head it, he misses it. Nahui takes it on his chest, takes another touch, has a shot, it's deflected a little bit, cleared off the line. It comes back to Nahui, he's 6 yards out, and he just taps it home for the equaliser, 1-1.
He's now got 10 in 9 if you go back to last season. Shrewsbury 0, new manager, of course, John Askey, the man in charge there. Shrewsbury 0, Bradford 1, and Jack Payne is the man who's got the goal that's put the visitors in front and Hearts to level against Hamilton. And Peter Herring is the man who's got that. Not the start that Tranmere Rovers fans were hoping for on their return to League 2 at Broadhall Way. Jonathan Beals.
Yeah, they're hearing numbers, Jeff, the Tranmere fans, but Stevenage have certainly silenced them. Ball with the goal from pretty much nowhere. It was Byron with a free kick, it came back out, and then Ball just struck him just inside the box, silencing the Tranmere fans. And Tranmere, in fact, have been the dominant team. They've pretty much had all the possession, but it's Stevenage with the goal. 1-0 Stevenage.
Ian Dowie wasn't quite punching the air there, but James Ball is a family friend of the Dowies, so consequently he was pretty pleased about that. Oldham fans will not be happy with what they've seen so far. Relegated last season, new man in charge is Frankie Bunn. Couldn't have made a worse start against the MK Dons, really. Faye Carruthers.
No, Jeff, they couldn't. They're 2-0 down now, and it was a really lovely goal from MK Dons as well. Alex Gilby driving down the right, and Agard came into the box and drilled through across goal. Unmarked was Ryan Harley, who slotted home 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0. Ryan Harley is coming from Exeter. Of course, Paul Tisdale's taken him, one of 3 players he's taken from Exeter, the MK Dons. Let's go and hear how Shrewsbury have fallen behind at home to Bradford City. Michael Collins is the Bradford City manager, by the way, 32 years of age. He's the youngest manager in the English Football League. He has reason to celebrate, Mick Tranter.
Yeah, a host of changes in both camps, incidentally, but a good opening goal from the visitors. Miller rode the challenge to the left of the area, pulled the ball back, and Payne slotted it home to make it Shrewsbury Town 0, Bradford City 1.
Been lively, hasn't it, in the Championship so far? Brentford lead Rotherham by Neil Mopay's goal. Bristol City lead by courtesy of an early goal from Andreas Weimann on his debut. Ipswich and Blackburn Rovers level at 1 apiece. Millwall lead Middlesbrough by a goal to 0. Bolton lead at West Brom by a goal to 0. And Wigan and Sheffield Wednesday are all square. And as you can see, we heard from John Coleman a little while ago there in the third tier of English football for the first time in their history. But it's not started in the way John Coleman would have wished. Des Hinks.
Yes, a good goal from for the visitors, Jeff. A flowing move. Billy Bingham started it, played in Regan Charles Cook, and he crossed the ball into the 6-yard box where Brandon Hanlon tapped it past Johnny Maxted. Accrington 0, Gillingham 1.
Well, last season, Gillingham took more points away from home than they did at home and started in a similar vein this season. Burton Albion 0, Rochdale 2. Rochdale survived. Remember on the final day of the season, Joe Thompson getting the goal that guaranteed their survival in League One, where Brad Idman has made a great start. Signed from Peterborough. He's got both of their goals now. Burton Albion 0, Rochdale 2. Burton Albion lost 14 home games last season, the most in English football, and things do not appear to have changed. Now, what about Barnsley? Daniel Stendhal is the new man in charge there. He's only managed one club before. That was Hanover, where he won just 3 of his 15 games. How's his reign at Oakwell started against Oxford? Brynlaw.
The Gegenpress comes to League One, and the Gegenpress brings its first positive result. Barnsley in front, it's all they deserve. They've been all over Oxford in the opening stages. Thiam's been marauding down the left-hand side. This time he popped up in the middle, carried the ball forward, looked up and struck a low, hard shot beyond the keeper. 1-0 Barnsley.
Great start for Barnsley against an Oxford side who were poor away from home at the end of last season, lost 5 of their last 6. Celtic in cruise control now, you would feel, against the Livingston side. Managed, of course, for the first time in the league today by Kenny Miller, the former Rangers legend, but they've just conceded a second goal. Mark Benstead.
Yeah, it's a goal that will really frustrate Kenny Miller. Livingston were excellent at set pieces last season, but caught out from their own corner here. Counter-attack by Celtic. Tom Rogic striding forward. He got to the edge of the area, slid the ball to Olivier Ncham. He had a cross goal. Odson Edouard arriving at the back post to roll it home. It's Celtic 2, Livingston 0.
Eduardo cost them around £9 million to bring to Celtic Park, and he's got the second goal against Livingston. Peterhead have got a goal, an equalising goal against Queen's Park, and when Peterhead score, if you're a regular viewer of this programme, you know it will be Rory McAllister, 32 goals last season. That is his 53rd goal in the Scottish Second Division. He is just 2 behind the current league record. It'll probably take him about 10 minutes to get them. Back with more in a couple of minutes. 2 up against New Boys Tranmere. Joe Byram got that goal. Exeter have doubled their lead against Carlisle. Jonathan Fort has scored on his debut. Peterborough 2 up against Bristol Rovers. Mark O'Hara has got the goal. Scarlett will be pleased. And Wigan 2-1 up against Sheffield Wednesday.
Another one.
Michael Jacobs has got that. We'll hear about it in a moment. But first, let's go back to the game that Mick McCarthy is watching at Portman Road. A third goal. Who's in front, Mick?
It's gone to Blackburn. A great bit of play here by... Well, Bradley Dack's got in the box and scored. And he's the commentator just never had a kick. They've been dispossessed in the final third, in the defensive third. Danny Graham's put it in behind. Derek Williams has got in. He's put a great cross in. And Bradley Dack is arriving completely unmarked, and he just side foots in, well, right in the middle of the goals. But it's a great goal by poor player. They lost the ball in a poor area, but they've broken them and scored. 2-1 Blackburn.
Now, Bradley Dack had a brilliant season last season. 18 goals, personal best, and he's off and running this season. So let's hear about Michael Jacobs' second goal. Jacobs, was it a cracker, Neil? I suspect not.
It wasn't a cracker. You may well say it was. But, I mean, we're going to be in the better side. There's been an energy, an urgency about the way they've played. Wednesday been all over the place defensively. The goal comes from the right-hand side. Gavin Massey does really well. Crosses the ball in. Nick Powell, who doesn't score too many in his head, completely unmarked in the 6-yard box. He's got a free volley to score, miskicks it, which is unusual for Nick Powell, and it falls nicely to Jacobs, who's quickest to react inside the penalty area. His shot's hard and low, and Wigan do deserve to be in front, 2-1.
Michael Jacobs with his first Wigan double. Clyde have taken the lead against Cowdenbeath, who finished bottom of the Scottish Leagues last season, survived by virtue of a playoff, but Martin McNiff has put Clyde in front. Back to the game between West Bromwich Albion and Bolton Wanderers. Any hint of a West Brom equaliser, Ian?
Yeah, well, there's also been one other chance, a good chance for Bolton. Again, Josh McGuinness, well blocked by Hegazi, but Hegazi's had the best chance since we last talked, Jeff. And it's a wonderful ball after a succession of corners. It gets out wide, it comes to that man, I think it's Harvey Barnes, bends it in, he's 6 yards out, unmarked, and he heads it over the bar. What a chance. Still 1-0 Bolton.
Forest Green just about survived last season. 1 point clear of the relegation places. They're behind early doors against Grimsby, who themselves just survived last season under Michael Jolly. Mitch Rose has scored from the penalty spot to put Grimsby in front. They had the joint worst home record in that division last season. Back to the game down at Ashton Gate. Bristol City leading by a goal to 0 against Nottingham Forest. I can see there's a drinks break at the moment. A Bristol City good value for it, Tony.
There have been, Jeff. Yeah, just a couple of good efforts from Forest, really. Diaz with a shot that whistled over the bar. And perhaps Forest's best chance at his first start. A good interception by Danny Fox. Travelled a long way with the ball. Eventually waited and waited. Picked the right pass to Daryl Murphy. He brought the ball back onto his favoured left foot. Tried to put it in the near post. Took a slight deflection. Hit the outside of the post. Went out for a corner. Didn't come to anything. But Forest just creeping back into the game. It's a very, very open and entertaining match.
In the National League, Dover 0, Wrexham 1. Mike Fondop Tallam has scored on his debut for Wrexham, joined from Guiseley. Stranraer 0, Roath Ravers 1. Liam Buchanan has scored after 29 minutes. They were 8 points clear at the top. Clyde have got a second goal against Cowdenbeath, and David Goodwillie is the man who got that 27 goals he got last season. That's his 4th of this season. Millwall leading Middlesbrough early on with a goal from Aidan O'Brien. Britta Sombalonga starting for Borough today. Borough threatened to get back level, Johnny?
Not at all. Britta Sombalonga looks like the loneliest man in Bermondsey at the moment. He's just got no service whatsoever, and they can't even get the ball out wide to Stuart Downing and Martin Braithwaite on the flanks. Millwall all over him in the middle of the park, and they had a good chance to go 2-0 in front. Another set piece. Sean Williams takes a deadly corner from the left-hand side, and he put in a lovely cross again, and this time it was Jake Cooper meeting it at the far post, but his header came back off the stanchion. Millwall really impressive so far today. A lot of work for Borough to do here.
Millwall leading by a goal. So Birmingham only scored 38 goals in 46 games last season. Goal scoring was their definite biggest issue last campaign. Birmingham threatened to break the deadlock at all against Norwich. Matt Murray?
They're threatened a few times, Jeff. Jats Magolma's had a couple of chances. One strike from the edge of the box, plenty of venom in it, but straight down the throat of Tim Krul. Then down the left, he hit another strike. Decent contact on it, plenty of power, but again straight at the Norwich goalkeeper. And then Jukovic just had a strike, tight angle, lots of power, but just dragged his effort across goal. And at the other end, Hernandez had a strike straight down the throat of the goalkeeper again. So both keepers been, tested a little bit, but made saves they should be doing. So still goalless.
Norwich didn't win the last 8 away games at the end of last season. What about Notts County, favourites to win promotion from League Two? They spent something like £650,000 during the course of the close season up against Colchester United today. Have Notts County been impressive so far? Michelle Owen?
Well, the opening 15 minutes they were, Jeff. They had more of the ball, more possession, had a couple of chances. NCO Baldwin on his debut had a shot turned around the post. As I speak, Notts County going forward with the corner, and it's been given for a foul. But up the other end, Colchester have grown into the game, and they had a big chance when Frankie Kent saw his header cleared off the line by Sean Brisley. And there were appeals for a handball by Colchester, but it wasn't given. It's still 0-0 here.
James Norwood has got to go back for Tranmere Rovers. He was their second top scorer last season, but of course Andy Cook, who was their top goal scorer, has been sold on, so they're looking to get goals from James Norwood, and he's got one to reduce the arrears today. And the Gegenpress is certainly working at Oakwell Brynlaw.
Yeah, all is wunderbar here for Barnsley at the moment. It's Mamadou Thiam yet again who's got Barnsley's goal. It started with them winning possession back in the centre circle for Moore. Moore to Bradshaw, Bradshaw to Potts, and Potts into the path of Thiam from outside the area once more. Low, hard drive, almost identical to his first goal. 2-0 Barnsley.
Certainly his day, isn't it? He scored once in 31 games before today. He's got 2 inside the first 30 minutes for Barnsley against Oxford United today. So Tranmere Rovers are on the Football League scoreboard at Stevenage. They trail by 2-1, Jonathan Beals.
Yeah, Norwood giving Tranmere a goal, a lifeline back in the game. And to be fair, they've deserved it. They've played the game at about 100 miles an hour from the start. And a ball upfield, Norwood, a great diagonal strike past the keeper. It's brought them back into the game. It's brought their fans into life. 2-1.
Norwood with his 11 goals in his last 12 games, reducing the arrears there. Back to the game at the Hawthorns. West Bromwich Albion fans have turned out in good numbers, but their side's still trailing Bolton Wanderers by a 1-0. What's happening now, Ian?
Well, slowly but surely, Chris Brunt started to dictate play. He's that wonderful left foot. He's feeding it into front, and this time he gets it wide. He puts in a peach of delivery, and I've got to say, he really should do better, Matt Phillips. Heads it over the bar from inside the 6-yard box. Yeah, there's some bodies around him, but he probably should do better. Still 1-0.
Yeah, still 1-0 to Bolton Wanderers. Bolton have made some interesting signings during the course of the close season. They don't have much money, of course, but they've brought in Clayton Donaldson. They've brought in Erhun Oztumer as well from Walsall, and, of course, Josh McGuinness from Charlton, who was the man who got the goal that has put them in front. Back down to Brentford. Brentford could be out of sight against Rotherham by now. In fact, only 1 goal separates the two sides. Rob Palmer.
Oh, yeah, there have been a number of chances to Brentford, but literally as you came, a great chance to the Rotherham 22. Joe Newell found himself in the 6-yard box. First eye-catching moment since they came out in their lemon and turquoise kit, but a brilliant save from Daniel Bentley in the Brentford goal. It remains 1-0 to Brentford.
Yes, still 1-0 to Brentford. Brentford just drew too many games last season. 11 draws at home last season, and that was one of the reasons why they didn't get any closer to the sides above them. Eventually finished 9th in the table. It was highly respectable, of course. Back to the game at Portman Road. Ipswich 1, Blackburn Rovers 2. Tony Mowbray, 6 years as an Ipswich player. I've enjoyed what he's seen so far. Ipswich threatening an equaliser, Mick?
Not really, no. In fact, Ellis Harrison has become a bit of a lone figure up front. I'm just watching him here now. Matt Bayard, the physio, is on to Jordan Spence, who's had a blow to the head. He doesn't look comfortable. I think he might be departed. He's going to have to go off anyway, I think, get some treatment. But I think they're going to have to make a substitute. But you know, Blackburn, since scoring the goal, they've controlled the game then. And as I said, Ellis Harrison is being left alone pretty much up front, having to chase on his own. So Blackburn are controlling it for the minute.
Don't think many people will enjoy their visits down to the new den today. Darren Randolph certainly isn't. He's cutting a disconsolate figure, Johnny Phillips.
He is. He didn't do very well with this one, but he was no means the worst offender of all. That goes down to Aidan Flint, the new £8 million defender, who with a terrible, terrible back pass gave Lee Gregory the opportunity. You'd have still fancied Randolph to get there before Gregory, but the ball just went straight through Randolph. Gregory slid in, he picked himself back up off the floor and tapped it into an unguarded net. It's been a really poor performance from Borough so far today, but take nothing away from Millwall. They're great value for a 2-0 lead.
First in 8 for Lee Gregory. His girl will be happy. A Millwall lead by 2 goals to him. We're back with more in a couple of minutes. Carlisle have got to go back through Richard Bennett against Exeter, trailed by 2 goals to 1. It's a big day for Harrogate Town. It's their first ever season at the 5th level of English football in the National League, but they're behind against Sutton United. Charlie Clough has scored on his debut from Barnet. Plymouth have just taken the lead against Walsall. Walsall just had a bit of a disappointing last season. 6 years, their worst finish in 6 years. Plymouth have got the goal. They started appallingly last season, of course, but then came really strong in the second half of the season. Ryan Edwards has got the goal that's put them in front. And there's been a goal at Boundary Park as well, where the MK Dons were sitting pretty, but they're not quite so comfortable now. Fake or others?
They're certainly not, Jeff. Oldham have been pushing them. They're starting to get a little bit of momentum at the moment. Obviously, quite a new side, 6 new signings starting this, but they're back in the game with captain Dan Gardner. A lovely strike just on the edge of the box to bring it to 2-1.
It's his 50th game for the club, and he celebrated by scoring his 2nd goal and halving the arrears against the MK Dons. Let's go and hear about the Carlisle goal down at Exeter. Exeter were 2 goals to the good, but their lead's been halved. Tony Colliver.
It has indeed. It was great work on the left-hand side, culminating with a superb cross into the box, met by a looping header by Richie Bennett, 6 yards out. Game on here. Exeter 2, Carlisle 1.
Let's go and find out what's happening in the game between West Bromwich Albion and Bolton Wanderers. West Brom were just beginning to edge their way into controlling this one the last we heard. Is that the case, Ian?
Yeah, I think so, in where it is, Jeff. But there's a real threat. Sammy Amiobi, they get the ball up to him, and Josh McGinnis are causing him some problems. You know, the understanding between Sam Johnson and the back four is not quite up and running as yet, particularly with wide areas, and you'd understand it, he's only just signed. But so my view is that's an issue for him, and certainly Sammy Amiobi is causing all sorts of problems on that right-hand side, cutting in his left foot, and he's got real pace.
Forfar have taken the lead against Airdrie. Dale Hilson is the man who's got the goal, and Hartlepool have absolutely bossed the proceedings down at the Gallagher Stadium. But 4 minutes before half-time, they've fallen behind to a Blair Turgott penalty, which has put Maidstone in front. Not the start of the new season that some of us were hoping for. Let's go and find out what's happening in the game between Bristol City and Nottingham Forest. Not the start the Nottingham Forest fans were hoping for either, not so far at least. Are they pressing at all, Tony?
I wouldn't say they're pressing, Jeff. I mean, it's certainly come more into the game since City got the goal, because they've been forced back, they've dropped back. I can only give you a Guardiola shot that was deflected over for a corner since he last came to me. So it's not overly creating. Daryl Murphy's up front for Forest. He just seems a little bit isolated, I think, at the moment. But we're approaching half-time. Forest are the better team at the moment, but they're losing at 1-0.
St Mirren and Dundee is level at half-time. Arbroath lead at Links Park against Montrose by a goal. And Hartlepool have equalised within a minute. Liam Noble on his debut, former Forest Green and more recently Notts County player, has put them back on level terms. It is the start that some of us had hoped for. Not if you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan, though. Things not going well at the moment at the DW Stadium. Wigan leading by 2 goals to 1. Are they worth the lead, Neil Mellor?
Yeah, I mean, they've just gone close again. Wigan, Jacobs, who's got 2 goals, he's just hit a beauty of a shot, about 25 yards out, and it's just hit the crossbar, and Sheffield Wednesday have managed to clear the ball. Wednesday, defensively, have been all over the place. They've lacked any kind of attacking threat in this first half. They've scored a goal, but that's been their only shot in this first half. They've got Forestieri, who's a big player for Sheffield Wednesday, missed a lot of last season. Barely had a kick this first half. They need to try and get him on the ball a little bit more. Wigan a good value for their lead, 2-1.
Josh Parker got a dozen goals for Gillingham last season. He's got his first of this campaign at the Crown Ground. Des Hinks.
Yeah, another good move as well, Jeff. Down the right-hand touchline, a cross coming from Luke O'Neill. Parker was unmarked, 6 yards out, downward header, and Johnny Maxted had no chance in the Accrington goal. It's Accrington 0, Gillingham 2.
And by the way, Tony Warner joined Accrington this week as the goalkeeping coach. He's on the bench today. I think he's about 44 years of age. Was it Liverpool at one stage, wasn't he? Was that the same time as Phil Thompson was playing? Dundee United... Sorry, Tony. Well, you're not listening, you're on the bench. Dundee United leading by a goal to nil in the Scottish Championship against Dunfermline. And Nicky Clark is the man who's got the goal. He scored against his former club. It's his 4th goal of the season. Let's go and find out what's happening in the game between Brentford and Rotherham. Brentford, generally speaking, dominating proceedings, but Rotherham, last we heard, just threatening to get a bit of a foothold. Rob Palmer.
Oh, my goodness, your timing was almost perfect. The man who scored the first goal, Neil Morpay, set almost the same blade of grass, and there's lots of beautiful grass out there today, was just 4 or 5 yards out, but on this occasion, a fantastic save from Marek Rodek. It's been quiet for 5 or 6 minutes because Rotherham had come back into the game, but Brentford are threatening again. They still lead.
but maybe lacking a little bit of quality. There've not been many chances since you last came to me there. Tim Krul's just had a very, very routine save to make. Craig Gardner trying a free kick from distance, but I tell you what, he went down in 3-month instalments to save that one. I think I might still save it, so not much going on, 0-0.
Ben Harrison's got the first goal of the afternoon for Halifax in the game at newly promoted Braintree at Cressing Road, or to give it his sponsor's name, the Ironmongery Direct Stadium. I think we'll stick to Cressing Road from now on. Another goal to tell you about at Griffin Park. I mentioned that Brentford had dominated, generally speaking, in the first half, and now they have a scoreline that properly reflects that superiority. Rob Palmer.
Yeah, you were bang on, Jeff. It has been all Brentford pretty much in the first half. But from the resulting corner we were talking about just a couple of minutes ago, ball fell to Sergi Kolisi, but his full might behind it. Goalkeeper saw it whiz past him like a summer wasp. It's 2-0.
Now scored in his last 3 home games. Annan Elgin is goalless at half-time. Gateshead lead at Maidenhead in the National League. Wraith Rovers lead at Stranraer by a goal to Preston 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0. Kieran Gibbons has been sent off for Stenhousemuir in the game today against Brecon. They do lead by a goal to 0, an own goal. Now they're down to 10 men. Brecon looking for their first win, well, for a long while. April 2017 was the last time they won a game. Walsall have equalised against Plymouth Argyle. Edwards got the goal that put Plymouth in front, but Walsall scored with Andy Cook scoring on his debut. Got 27 for Tranmere Rovers last season. Now he's got 1 for Walsall. Millwall 2 at half-time against Middlesbrough. Fylde, one of the favourites for promotion from the National League. They've taken the lead against Bromley, runners-up in the FA Trophy last season, of course, Bromley. And Andy Bond is the man who has got that goal.
A goal
to tell you about in the game at the Hawthorns, and it was something special on this opening game of the season, I think. Ian Dowie.
Do well to see a better goal than this. He's out on this right-hand side, a little bit of link play between Neom and incredible Harvey Barnes. He gets it into his feet, he shifts it one way, he cuts inside, he drives in his left foot, he takes it past another player, and you don't think he can get it in, he bends his shot, it's amazing. It must go 5-yard curl on it, right into the top corner, 1-1.
Harvey Barnes, who's on loan from Leicester. What a way to start your career at West Bromwich Albion with a terrific equalising goal. Morton Queen of the South is goalless. Bradford leave at Shrewsbury, Walsall and Plymouth all score at half-time. Ross County and Alloa is goalless. Birmingham and Norwich is goalless as well. Falkirk and Inverness Caledonian Thistle lead by a goal to 0 in that game. Still playing in the game at Portman Road. Is there any hint that Ipswich might get level, Mick?
No, there was a slight chance there. I thought Harrison was going to get in with it. It was a bit of a sloppy back pass and he tried to head it back to the keeper and it was short. And the keeper came and nicked it off the top of his head, but he flagged anyway for offside. They've settled the game down. Ipswich have actually got back in the game and been slightly the better side, but have had no chances as such. The one that's had Guion Edwards has impressed a couple of times, taking his full back on, but not yet got any crosses in. Still 2-1.
Thanks, Mick. Wigan relegated, promoted. Which way will they go this season? They've started well. 2 goals for Michael Jacobs, who leads Sheffield Wednesday by 2 goals to 1. Bristol City, great start to last season. Remember, second on Boxing Day, faded away in the second half of the campaign. But Andy Weimann scored on his debut for them, having joined from Derby County, and they lead Nottingham Forest by a goal to 0 at half-time. Stevenage 2-1 up against Tranmere. Notts County 0. Colchester 0 at half-time. It's Burton Albion 0, Rochdale 2. So a really good start for Keith Hill's side there at the Pirelli Stadium. And no goals so far in the game at Gig Lane. Bury against Yeovil. Bury lost 26 times. That was a club record last season. Coventry and Scunthorpe is goalless. Fylde through Andy Bond's goal in the National League against Bromley. That separates the 2 sides. Aldershot in the National League being held against Barnet. Aldershot were expected to give debuts to as many as 9 players today. There have been wholesale changes at the Ebb Stadium because Barnet relegated from the Football League last season. Barrow 1, Havant and Waterlooville 0. Havant and Waterlooville promoted, facing a 670-mile round trip to Barrow. And Alexander Sorloth has scored just before half-time to Barrow in front. Port Vale have taken the lead just before half-time against Cambridge United. And that Port Vale goal coming from Ricky Miller. It's his second league goal since 2014. It's half-time at Portman Road, and not the start that Paul Hurst had hoped for. But it was, of course, when Gwen Edwards put them in front, but Danny Graham and Bradley Dack have got the goals that have given Tony Mowbray the advantage on his return to his old stamping ground. Northampton and Lincoln is goalless, Ebbsfleet and Chesterfield is goalless, Maidstone 1, Hartlepool 1, Mansfield 1, Newport 0, Southend 0, Doncaster Rovers 0. Half-time at the Hawthorns. West Bromwich Albion have a new hero, Harvey Barnes equalising in the 46th minute on loan from Leicester City. There he is, scored an absolutely fantastic goal. This after Josh McGuinness on his debut from Charlton had put Bolton Wanderers in front. It is West Brom 1, Bolton Wanderers 1. We'll have all the half-times for you when we come back in just 30 seconds. You can count them. League season has not disappointed, has it? Let's check on all the half-time scores. Starting in the Championship, they look like this. Birmingham 0, Norwich City 0. Mentioned that Birmingham City don't score many goals, didn't last season anyway, been on a transfer embargo, so not much has changed. And Norwich, having sold their top 2 goal scorers last season in Maddison and Murphy, struggling for goals as well. It's 0-0, no real surprise. Neil Maupay and Sergi Canos have got the goals that have given Brentford a 2-goal lead against newly promoted Rotherham at half-time. It's Bristol City 1, Nottingham Forest 0. Andreas Weimann didn't have to wait long to open his account for his new club, having moved for £2 million down to Ashton Gate. And Nottingham Forest was their 11th consecutive season in the Championship. Their away form was poor last season, and they've started in the first 45 minutes of this new season in the same vein. Ipswich in front, Gwion Edwards with his debut goal, £700,000 signing from Peterborough, putting the home side ahead. But then Danny Graham and Bradley Dack, both doing what they did last season, both getting on the score sheet, and Blackburn lead at half-time. They won 13 away games last season. Millwall lead by 2-0 against Middlesbrough. Truly disappointing first half for Tony Pulis. Aidan O'Brien getting the first goal. Lee Gregory with the second. Gregory finished with 10 goals last season as Millwall enjoyed their best finish in 16 years. Preston and Queen's Park Rangers goalless at the Motorcourse. Steve McLaren is the new manager for Preston North End. He'll be hoping that there's no case of déjà vu this season for Rangers. They finished with 9 men at Deepdale last season and lost the game as well. West Bromwich Albion 1, Bolton Wanderers 1. Josh McGuinness on his Bolton debut, putting the visitors in front. Harvey Barnes doing likewise in added time at the end of the first half with a smashing equaliser for Darren Moore's side. And Wigan 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1. 2 goals for Michael Jacobs there. His first Wigan double. He got 13 last campaign, and Hui got the Sheffield Wednesday goal in between times. But Wigan good value for a 2-1 half-time lead. In League One, Accrington Stanley 0, Gillingham 2. First season at this level for Accrington's not started in the way they would have wished so far, at least. They won 29 games last season. Hanlon with the opening goal, and then Josh Parker with his first of the season. Barnsley are 2-0 up against Oxford United. Mamadou Thiam with both of those goals. He only scored 1 in his previous 31. A great start for Daniel Stendel as in his role as the new Barnsley manager. Rochdale 2 up against Burton Albion. Another new boy, Brad Inman, has got both of the Rochdale goals, having joined from Peterborough. Rochdale lost 32 points from winning positions last season. They must be confident at half-time that's not going to happen again. Coventry and Scunthorpe is goalless at half-time. Coventry new boys at this level. Of course, Fleetwood and Wimbledon goalless as well. Joey Barton's rule has started. No goal to celebrate, though, so far for Joey. Peterborough 2-0 up against Bristol Rovers. Matt Godden, in the first minute of his debut, having joined from Stevenage, got the goal there. And Mark O'Hara with the second for Peterborough. Portsmouth lead Luton by a goal to 0. Jamal Lowe in the first 45 minutes at Fratton Park. Luton drawing a rare blank for them. First time they played at this level, by the way, since way back in 2008. Shrewsbury 0, Bradford City 1. Michael Collins, the youngest manager in the Football League, will have enjoyed Jack Payne's goal that's put them in front last season. Shrewsbury unbeaten in the league until October. Southend and Doncaster Rovers is goalless. Sunderland came from behind to beat Charlton by 2-1. It was a dramatic finish there as well. After Lyle Taylor put Charlton in front, Josh Meyer put Sunderland level, and Lyndon Gooch in the 96th minute gave Sunderland the win. Walsall level against Plymouth Argyle. Edwards with the goal for Plymouth, but Andy Cook, the former Tranmere man, scored on his Walsall debut, and Wycombe and Blackpool is goalless. In League Two, Bury 0, Yeovil 0, Cheltenham 0, Crawley 0 at half-time. Crewe 2, Morecambe 0. Kirk and Nichols, the goal scorers at Gresty Road there. Exeter 2-1 up against Carlisle United. Nicky Law with the opening goal for Exeter there. They've got a second goal since then for Jonathan Ford on his debut. Richard Bennett got one back for Carlisle. Grimsby lead by a goal to nil. Mitch Rose scoring from the penalty spot against Mark Cooper's side there. Won their last 3 games, have Grimsby saved them last season, of course. Mansfield a goal up against Newport County. Tyrone Walker, with his first goal since December, he's on loan from Nottingham Forest, of course, has put them ahead. Northampton and Lincoln, goalless at the moment. Notts County and Colchester as well. The MK Dons were 2 goals up against Oldham. Kieran Agard got the first of those. Ryan Harley got the second, but Dan Gardner, the Oldham captain, with just his second Oldham goal, getting them back in the game before half-time. First goal, of course, under Frankie Bunn. Port Vale lead Cambridge by a goal to nil at half-time. Ricky Miller, who'd only scored 1 league goal since 2014, is the man who's got the goal that's put Port Vale in front. Stevenage took a 2-goal lead early on against new boys at this level, Tranmere Rovers. James Ball with the first, Joel Barron with the second. James Norwood, 24 goals last season, has got 1 this season. That's 2-1 at half-time at Broadhall Way. And the other new boys, Macclesfield, doing even better. They're level at Swindon. It's goalless at half-time. In the conference, Fylde lead Bromley by a goal. So Andy Bond got the only goal of the game. Aldershot and Barnet is goalless. Barrow lead Havant and Waterlooville under Lee Bradbury by a goal. So Alexander Sorloth scoring just before half-time. That's a heck of a trip, isn't it, to welcome into the National League. 670 miles from Havant up to Barrow and Furness. Boreham Wood 0, Dagenham and Redbridge 0. Boreham Wood have sold Bruno Andrade and Morgan Ferrier during the course of the close season. They might struggle for goals. 0-0 at half-time. Halifax lead Braintree. Ben Harrison got the goal against the side who finished 6th in the National League South last season, but they got promotion by virtue of the playoffs. Wrexham leading at Dover by a goal to nil. Mike Fondop Talham on his debut from Guiseley is the man who's put them in front. Eastleigh 0, Solihull Moors 0, Ebbsfleet 0, Chesterfield relegated last season and the season before, of course, 0 at half-time at the new level of the National League. Sutton lead at Harrogate Town. Charlie Clough on his debut after joining against Barnet, rather ruining the Harrogate party at the moment at Wetherby Road. They're trailed by a goal to nil. Gateshead lead at Maidenhead by a goal to nil. Ollie, the goal scorer there. Got some good news for Havant and Waterlooville fans. It appears you're not a goal behind. Alexander Sorloth has not scored for Barrow, and that 670-mile round trip might not seem so long, because it appears now that it's 0-0. Don't ask me. Maidstone 1, Hartlepool 1. Blair Turgott scoring from the penalty spot, but the lead lasted just 1 minute. Liam Noble scored on his debut for Matty Bates' side. And it finished Salford 1, Leyton Orient 1. Salford taking the lead through Rory Gaffney, the former Bristol Rovers player. But then an own goal 2 minutes from time gave Leyton Orient a point. Celtic 2-0 to the good against Livingston. Tom Rogic with the opening goal. Edouard with the second. Kenny Miller, the former Rangers man, of course, is in charge of Livingston for the first time this afternoon in the Scottish Premiership. He has been booked during the course of that first 45 minutes. Hamilton took the lead through Michael Miller against Hearts, but Peter Herring has equalised for the visitors. They've scored 10 in the last 2 League Cup games, have Hearts. No repeat of that so far today. Kilmarnock 0, St Johnstone 0 at half-time, and St Mirren took the lead against Dundee through Daniel Mullen, but Elton Nuatala got the equalising goal for Neil McCann's side, the French midfielder. Championship. Ayr 2-0 up against Partick Thistle, and Lawrence Shankland has got them both. He's got 9 for the season. Dundee United lead Dunfermline. Nicky Clark against his old club. George Oakley got Inverness Cally Thistle's goal at Falkirk. Morton Queen of the South is goalless, as is Ross and Alloa. And not too many goals around in the Scottish First Division. East Fife and Dumbarton is goalless. Dale Hilson has scored for Forfar against Airdrie. Montrose Trail are both by a goal to nil. Ryan Wallace got 18 last season. He's got the goal this afternoon that's put the visitors in front. Stenhouse Muir lead by virtue of Doug Hill own goal against Brecon City, but they've had Gibbons sent off in the first half there. And Wraith lead by a goal to nil. Liam Buchanan got the goal at Stranraer. Have conceded 13 in 4 League Cup games and have conceded 1 so far today. And the Scottish Second Division, goalless at Garlabank, Annan and Elgin. Berwick and Stirling is goalless as well. Clyde are 2 up against Cowdenbeath, who were the whipping boys last season. Finished bottom. McNiff and David Goodwillie, with his 4th of the season, have got those goals. Blair Henderson put Edinburgh City in front against Albion Rovers. And Queen's Park led through Gibson at Balmore, but Rory McAllister, 32 goals last season, has got his first of this season to level things up for the home side before half-time. Brings you up to date. We're back with that second half action in a couple of minutes. That trip, 670-mile round trip to Barrow, might seem a long way for Havant and Waterlooville fans, because that score is not right. Somebody at PA is clearly still on their summer holidays. It is Barrow 1, Havant and Waterlooville 0. Alexander Soloff did not score for the simple reason that he doesn't play for Barrow. Plays for Crystal Palace. That would have been a long-range strike, wouldn't it? Jack Hindle is the man who's got that goal, so I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings, Havant and Waterlooville fans. You do trail by a goal to 0. Jack Hindle has got that goal, which came as a major surprise to Alexander Soloff. He's probably sitting watching at home somewhere, you know. Morton have taken the lead early in the second half as well against Queen of the South. Morton playing at Capillo, and the goal coming from Michael Tidser. Just let's tell you about what's coming up, shall we, in the Championship. Sheffield United take on Swansea. Chris Wilder against newly relegated Swansea at all. Graham Potter is the new man in charge. You can see that 5:15 on Sky Sports Football. And just looking ahead to tomorrow, big game in the SPFL, Aberdeen against Rangers, 12:30 for that Sky Sports Football. And later, Marcelo Bielsa makes his debut as the Leeds United manager against Gary Rowett's Stoke. Leeds against Stoke. Sky Sports Football at 3:30. Looking ahead of Monday, Hull against Aston Villa at 7 o'clock. And Tuesday, Nottingham Forest against West Bromwich Albion. I'm not going to tell you anymore. It's Maidenhead 0, Gateshead 2. It's a great start, isn't it, as far as Steve Watson and his side are concerned. Ollie got the open goal there, and Scott Bowden, who joined them from Wrexham, has got a second goal, and all the harbingers of doom and gloom about Gateshead may well be wrong. They lead by 2-0. East 5-0, Dumbarton 1. Andy Dowie. Is he a relation, Ian?
No.
Andy Dowie, no relation. Well, he scored, we should have guessed. Has got the goal that's put Dumbarton in front in that one. Let's go out and about. Wigan against Sheffield Wednesday is underway in the second half. You would imagine the Sheffield Wednesday manager would have had some harsh words to say at half-time. How are the early stages of the second half developing, Neil?
Well, we've only just kicked off, but when the half-time whistle was blown and the home team were rightly applauded off the pitch because the performance was deserving of the lead that they had at the moment. A little bit unsure how Wigan would perform in the Championship this season, but they were on the front foot. There was good energy about the way they played in that first half, good urgency. They created a number of chances. They got themselves a couple of goals.
Oh!
One of the problems they had last time in the Championship, and at the moment they're on the front foot to start this second half.
Bristol City started the first half against Nottingham Forest like a house on fire. Nottingham Forest have started the second half against Bristol City like a house on fire. Tony?
Literally played 1 minute of the second half, Jeff, and Forest do really well. Daryl Murphy gets the ball. He gives the ball out wide to Guardiola. He gets the ball, eventually gets it onto his right foot, plays it back in to Daryl Murphy, and it's a really good glancing header. I mentioned about giving him service. Like, if you get him the service and get people around him, he's a really top player in this Championship. It's a really good finish, 1-1.
And what a great decision that is by Erta Karanka as well. A lot of people thought that Lewis Grabban would start today. £6 million they paid for him, but not so. They stuck with Daryl Murphy, and he has rewarded them with an equalising goal. Celtic out of sight now against Livingston. Let's hear about their third goal, Mark Benstead.
Yeah, this one looks to be wrapped up just after the restart. A third goal for Celtic. It came from the penalty spot. Cal McGregor into the area. Declan Gallagher challenging the back. Penalty given. Olivier Nchan ran up, stuttered run up, slid it home past the goalkeeper. 3-0 Celtic.
With the goal there. By the way, Alexander Sorloth, I told you saw in Crystal Palace's books, he will have been surprised that he was supposed to have scored for Barrett. He's on the bench for Palace against Toulouse today. Hamilton 0, Hearts 2, and Stephen Naismith has got the goal that's put Hearts in front in that one. It's his fourth goal, actually, having scored 3 goals in League Cup games. The deadlock has been broken at Deepdale, where Preston are playing Queen's Park Rangers goalless at half-time. Who's got first blood in this one? Bianca Westwood.
It's Preston North End, and it's been coming. They've dominated the majority of this game. QPR have had one worthy chance. That was in the closing stages of the second half, a Matt Smith header that went just wide of the post. But as I say, Preston North End have completely dominated this game, and the goal came from a great delivery into the box. Alan Brown with a looping header. Callum Robinson was on the line. I don't think he got a touch to it. I think this is Alan Brown's goal. Well deserved. North End 1, QPR 0.
QPR lost 14 times away from home last season. No improvement so far. Forest Green have equalised in their League 2 game against Grimsby. Carl Winchester has scored on his debut for them. He's joined them from Cheltenham, so off and running there. One apiece, the scoreline there. Port Vale have got a second goal against Cambridge United, and Tom Pope does what Tom Pope does. He scores goals, and he scores plenty of them as well. Top goal scorer last season. No doubt he'll be top goal scorer again this season as well. He's got the second goal there. Now then, West Bromwich Albion back on level terms thanks to that cracking strike from Harvey Barnes in added time at the end of the first half. Does that mean that West Brom have taken control in the second half?
Well, it's a brilliant bit of interplay. Brunt round the corner into Rodriguez. He little flick into the path of Harvey Barnes. Harvey then back to Rodriguez. Just as he goes to shoot, he rolls it inside. Harvey Barnes takes a really good touch. It's a brilliant tackle from Wheater. Almost a goal-saving tackle, really. Just blocks it on the line. Really bright start from West Brom.
Bright start from West Brom, still one apiece is the scoreline there. Let's go and find out what's happening in the game between Ipswich and Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn were behind in this one, but went in at half-time in front. How's the second half started, Mick?
Not a lot have happened so far. I thought Blackburn started well. They got pushed up into the Ipswich final third. It's just settled down. It's just starting, Jeff. I can't say anything at all about the game so far. It's still competitive. They're both sticking the tackles in. They're both chasing, both working hard. But as yet, nothing happened in the game.
Nothing happening in the game. That will suit Tony Mowbray. I'll be hoping that it's like that for the next 44 minutes or so, won't it?
Absolutely. It'll suit him fine,
yeah. Wow. One more goal you feel would put Wigan out of sight as far as Sheffield Wednesday are concerned. Have they gone close, Neil?
Yeah, well, Sheffield Wednesday only just in this game, still 2-1 to Wigan. They hit the bar in the first half, and Gavin Massey 1v1 with Poodle. You can see what he's trying to do, get half a yard to get the shot. He does, he's too good, quick for the defender. He gets his shot away. It's a really good save by Dawson in the Sheffield Wednesday goal. Wigan have started the second half really strongly, 2-1.
Stranraer level at Stair Park against Wraith Rovers. Grant Anderson is the man who has got that goal. Millwall 2-0 up against Middlesbrough at half-time. Get the feeling that a third goal would end this as a contest. Any sign of that coming, Johnny Phillips?
Oh yeah, we were just within a whisker of a third goal for Millwall. Lee Gregory getting away down the left-hand side, beating the offside trap. It was a terrible offside attempt from the Middlesbrough defence, and he put a cross in right across the 6-yard box, and Steve Morrison sliding in at the back post. If he'd been a few years younger, his old legs may have got there. As it was, he just couldn't quite turn it in, and it went out for a goal kick. A let-off for Borough, still 2-0.
Yeah, still 2-0, and absolutely all Millwall at the moment. Gateshead are 3 up at Maidenhead now. Luke Armstrong is the man who's got the third goal at York Road. Of course, Alan Devonshire is the man in charge of Maidenhead. He will not be enjoying this at all. Ollie and Bowden. And then Armstrong, the goal scorers for the visitors, are going to go back on the long journey to the northeast with maximum points, you would imagine. Who's going to go away with maximum points at St Andrews, Birmingham City or Norwich City? Norwich not winning the last 8 away games. It's the 3rd consecutive season at championship level. Anybody threatening Matt Murray?
Not really, Jeff. Norwich are having a lot of possession, but the pitch is slow. There was no water on it at half-time, so they haven't been... Norwich are going into the box now, but they haven't really been able to create much again. They get into the Birmingham City final third, but nothing really comes of it. Birmingham did start the half quite well. Good little link-up play. Shea Adams into Hotter, but he couldn't get the ball out of his feet, and the shot in the end straight at Tim Krul. So pretty even game. Birmingham may be shading it goalless.
You can see Gateshead have got 3 goals there. Let's hear about another side who've got 3 goals now as well. We go to Griffin Park. Rob Palmer.
Well, it's taken only 2 minutes into the second half for Brentford to get their third goal. Ball came to Ollie Watkins, 5-6 yards outside the area. Over the keeper, crashed off the bar, into the back of the net. And he had an 11-game run at the end of last season without scoring a goal. He's made it 3-0 to Brentford.
He did indeed, and not only did he likes a shot. Does Watkins. He had the most shots in the Championship last season, 140 shots in total, but only 37 of them were on target. Well, he's on target today, that is for sure. Barrow won, Havant and Waterlooville. No, you knew that, didn't you? Edinburgh City have got a second goal against Albion Rovers, and Lincoln, many people fancy them for promotion from League Two this season. They've taken the lead at Sixfields. Steve Jackson.
Yeah, they haven't created too much in this game, but they have got the goal early in this second half. Neil Eardley, a former Cobblers player, of course, right-wing cross perfectly onto the head of Matt Green, and he powered it home. Northampton 0, Lincoln 1.
Yeah, Northampton 0, Lincoln City 1. Lincoln were the Football League trophy winners last season. Of course, Northampton were relegated, conceded 77 last season. That was the most of any side in League One. Let's go and hear about one of the new boys to League Two, Macclesfield. 6 years out of the Football League, champions of the National League last season. And my goodness, what a start they are promising to make. Jeff Collins.
Yes, absolutely. Totally different to the first half, where they were clinging on by the end of the first half after 4 great saves by their goalkeeper. But a sleepy start by Swindon, who dominated the first half. Rory Arthur got the ball into the Swindon box. A little jink here, a low shot into the bottom left-hand corner to give the new boys the lead. It's Swindon Town 0, Macclesfield 1. But just as I say that, Swindon Town have gone down the other end and they've equalised. A great header from inside the 6-yard box after a really precise cross. And it's now Swindon Town 1, Macclesfield 1.
Yeah, back on level terms there. We'll confirm the scorers soon as we have it. Boreham Wood, I told you, a couple of their top scorers had left, but Angela Balanta hasn't, and he's got the goal that's put them in front against Dagenham and Redbridge. Doncaster Rovers have taken the lead against Southend United, and John Marquis is the man who's got the goal that's put Doncaster Rovers in front in that game. John Marquis, good goal-scoring record. It's his 42nd goal in his 100th appearance for Rovers, so almost 1 in 2, not too shabby. And Coventry back in League One and in front against Scunthorpe. Bob Hall.
Yes, probably the only thing they lacked in their promotion year was the services of Tony Andreo. He was out long-term injury. Just now, Perch picked up a yellow card for a foul on him outside the box. The free kick was sublime. Coventry 1, Scunthorpe 0.
It is first league goal for the club, and it means they take the lead by a goal to nil against the Scunthorpe side. Just keep missing out on promotion. 7th, 3rd, 5th in the last 3 seasons, but they've never managed to make the step up to the Championship. So, in the Championship, goalless at Birmingham between Birmingham and Norwich. Brentford out of side against Rotherham, lead by 3 goals to nil. Bristol City and Forest are level at 1 apiece. Blackburn still lead Ipswich by 2 goals to 1. Millwall lead Middlesbrough by 2 goals to nil. Preston a goal to the good against Queen's Park Rangers with Alan Brown's second half strike there. West Brom and Bolton still level, and Wigan lead Sheffield Wednesday by 2 goals to 1. And there's confirmation that Michael Doughty is the man who's got the equalising goal for Swindon. Another ex-Peterborough. How many ex-Peterborough players have scored today? The answer? Plenty. And Doughty is the latest of them. Back with more in a moment. First player sent off, I believe, in the Football League this season, and it's Tom James of Yeovil who's got a red card against Bury. They had 10 red cards last season and have started this season in the same vein. It's still goalless. Dunfermline have equalised at Dundee United through Joe Thompson. Scott Boyd has got a goal to put Kilmarnock in front against St Johnstone. Hearts are 3-1 up against Hamilton. Peter Herring has got two. Good comeback by Tranmere. They were 2-0 down on their return to the Football League. James Norwood has got 2 goals in their level. Dumbarton are 2-0 up against East Fife. Callum Gallagher has got the goal. Mansfield 2-0 up against Newport County, and the second Mansfield goal coming from Otis Khan, who's just joined them from Yeovil. And Barrow are 2 up against Havant Waterlooville, and the second goal for them coming from Tyler Smith. Joey Barton, first spell in charge of Fleetwood today. First time in the dugout. He's not enjoying things. Peter Smith.
No, he's not enjoying it at all. His side have fallen behind to a Joe Piggott goal that came just before the hour mark. Ben Purrington crossed the ball and it was deflected towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and Piggott was able to bundle the ball past Alex Kearns from short range. Fleetwood Town have hardly created anything, and they're now trail here by 1-0. Yeah, really disappointing as far as Joey Barton is concerned, but terrific for Wimbledon, who take the lead. It's their third season in League One. They lead by a goal to nil. Let's go and hear about the goal at St Andrews. Birmingham City against Norwich. It was the only game in the Championship without a goal. It's got one now, Matt Murray.
Yeah, and what a goal it was, Jeff. And I said Birmingham have been shading it. Shay Adams had a chance. Norwich somehow bundled the ball behind, but from the resulting corner, it came in. Norwich only half cleared it. Dropped to Montgomery, edge of the box. Really good strike. That was blocked, and then it came back to him. And wow, left foot crashes it in off the underside of the bar from the edge of the box. Keeper no chance. Birmingham deservedly lead 1-0.
Malik Wilkes has got a second goal for Doncaster Rovers against Southend. They lead by 2-0, and there's a fourth goal at the DW. Wigan out of sight. Neil Mellor.
Well, it looks that way. It's a deserved third goal for Wigan. They now lead 3-1. It's a quick breakaway. Michael Jacobs, who got 2 goals in the first half, he breaks very quickly down that left-hand side. He's running at the Sheffield Wednesday defence. They back away. He gets to the edge of the penalty area. He unleashes a lovely shot. It's too hot for Dawson, who spills the shot, and quickest to react, Nick Powell, who just dinks the rebound into the back of the net. Wigan lead 3-1.
Well, you asked the question about how well Nick Powell would do. He's made a pretty good start, hasn't he? He got 15 last season. He's got his first of this season. Morton have got a second goal against Queen of the South, and Ross McLean is the man who's got the second goal. Michael Tidser having scored the first. Let's go and hear about that comeback, shall we, by Tranmere Rovers against Stevenage. 2-0 down, but back on level terms now, Jonathan Beals.
Yeah, very much so, Jeff. James Norwood level things up for Tranmere Rovers. Smith with the free kick, 45 yards out, floated into the box. Sutton knocked it down. There was a whole bundle of bodies in there, and it was Norwood with the final touch from close range, sending those fans behind the goal into a frenzy. 2-2.
Hearts have got a fourth goal against Hamilton. Stephen McLean has got that in the National League. That's the first National League goal for Harrogate. First time ever at this level. And Jack Muldoon, they signed from Fylde, is the man who's got the goal that's put them back on level terms. Edinburgh City have got a third goal against Albion Rovers. It's a Blair Henderson hat-trick. And you see the new boys back in front at the county ground. Jeff Collins.
Oh dear, sleepy Swindon. Their keeper had the ball in the penalty box. He dithered for ages. His pass was just sloppy and stray. The Swindon fans lost it. It went straight to Rory Arthur, who simply had to chip it over the Swindon keeper into the net to give the new boys the lead. It's Swindon Town 1, Macclesfield 2. 2
goals for Kobe Arthur. What a start he has had. Berwick Rangers have taken the lead in Scotland against Stirling Albion, and Ross Brown, they're signing from Airdrie, is the man who's got the goal that's put them in front. It's the first goal they scored this season at the 5th time of asking. Let's go and hear about another goal in League Two, shall we? Mansfield were leading Newport County by 1-0, but as you saw a moment or two ago on the video printer, they've doubled that lead now. John Temple.
Well, what a terrific goal it was, Jeff. 3 of Mansfield's new recruits all combined. Bishop with a lovely chip ball to the byline. And there was Walker who got the opening goal, a lovely cross. And an on the run, Otis Khan, an emphatic header from 10 yards. It's Mansfield 2, Newport 0.
Back to the Championship. Ipswich 1, Blackburn Rovers 2. So what can Ipswich and Paul Hurst do about the deficit, Mick?
Well, they've made the first substitution. Dunn has just come on, the under-20 international from Fulham, and he's on the break now. Actually, he's got the ball. Let's see what he does. But they've had to do something. Blackburn were just comfortable in the game, but they just look like they're going to put a sub on as well, and it's Casey Palmer. So that would help.
Jordan Higgs has equalised for Bromley in their game at Mill Farm against Fylde in the National League. 1 apiece is the scoreline there. 1 apiece is still the scoreline at the Hawthorns. Who'll be the happier of the 2 managers at the moment, Ian?
Well, if you'd come to me a couple of minutes ago, I'd have said definitely Darren Moore. They've really started to go through the gears. A couple of lovely flowing moves say, and crucial tackles made by that resilient Bolton defence. But they've just come back into it, Phil Parkinson's side. Lovely little slick move, got the ball out to Will Buckley. He flipped the ball into the box, and Josh McGuinness was really denied very, very well by Carl Bartley at the back post. So quite even at the moment.
Walsall 2-1 to the good against Plymouth Argyle. Luke Leahy is the man who has got the goals, put Walsall back in front in that game. Andy Cook having scored their opening goal. Bristol City pegged back by Nottingham Forest. 1 apiece is the scoreline there. Any sign of us getting a glimpse of Mohamed Issa this afternoon for Bristol City, Tony?
I think Lee Johnson must be thinking about changes, Jeff. I mean, Forest have totally dominated this second half, and they've barely got forward, Bristol City, so he needs to look at making those changes. Having said that, they haven't really created any real clear-cut chances for us. They just had one long-range shot. Guardiola seems to be having his goal of the season in the first game. He's had about 5 shots. If he keeps having a go, he might get one, but at the moment, Forest certainly in command.
Rotherham 6-5 favourites to be relegated from the Championship. The bookies are rarely wrong. Look, it's the opening day of the season, but Rotherham's travelling fans and their management will not be enjoying this. Rob Palmer.
Oh, they do look like a broken team, and they have been ripped apart by Brentford. You've got the eyes, you can see all of the games this afternoon, but I don't think it's a performance quite like Brentford's. Not only have they scored 4 goals, they have played quality football. And the man who started the scoring, Neil Maupay, has scored his second goal of the game. It's 4-0. They may not have finished there.
Got 13 last season. He was their top goal scorer. Forest Green have turned things around at Grimsby. They now lead by 2-1. It's a Danny Collins' own goal that's put them in front. Winchester having levelled things up. Both have got a second goal in their game in the Scottish First Division against Montrose. It's a Bobby Lynn penalty, which may well have put them out of sight. And Dundee United 1, Dunfermline 2 in the Scottish Championship. And Jackson Longridge is the man who's got the goal that's put the visitors in front. They've had a great campaign so far, winning all 4 of their League Cup games and scored 14 goals in doing so. Is there any glimmer of hope, any possible way back for Sheffield Wednesday at the DW? They trail 3-1. Neil Mellor.
Well, there's still time for them to get a couple of goals, and they are on the front foot. The manager's made a change. He's gone 2 up top now. He's been joined by Lucas João. And they finally tested Walton in the Wigan goal. He's had 1 shot to save, and he didn't save it because it was the only goal Sheffield Wednesday have scored. The other shot, Adam reached his second half. It fell nicely to him inside the penalty area, hit it really well. Walton made the save, but Wednesday are pushing to try and get back into the game. They trail 3-1.
Wednesday pushing to try and get back into their game. What about Middlesbrough? Things could hardly get any worse for them, really, could it? By all accounts. Are they pushing it all to get back into this one at Millwall, Johnny?
No, as you come to us now, Millwall are on the attack, but it's fizzled out. A deep Jed Wallace-Cost came to nothing. There has been 1 half chance to tell you about for Middlesbrough in this second half. It was a Martin Braithwaite free kick on the left-hand side. Crossed to the back post, nodded back down, and for a second it looked like Britta Sombolonga was going to get his chance 6 yards out. There was a bit of a scramble, a bit of panic in the Millwall ranks, but they eventually cleared it, and that's the only sniff they've had all afternoon. Millwall have been fantastic so far.
Morton 2, Queen of the South 1. Callum Semple's got to go back for the visitors. Crew have had a great start to the season, haven't they? They lead by 3-0 now. And Alex Nichols had a debut to remember from Barnet. He's got 2 of their 3 goals. Talking of sides who lead by 3-0, that takes us off to Field Mill. John Temple.
Well, Mansfield had a terrific pre-season, Jeff. They beat championship sides like Derby, Sheffield Wednesday and Rotherham, and now Otis Khan on his debut has scored his second goal of the game. What a goal it was, a 20-yard strike into the top corner, teed up by Davis. Mansfield lead 3-0.
Otis Khan got 10 goals for Yeovil last season. He's got 2 this afternoon. Cheltenham 0, Crawley 1. Harry Kewell side would take the lead with a goal from Ollie Palmer to put them 1-0 up. Cheltenham lost their last 4 games. Forest Green have got a 3rd goal. They lead by 3-1 now at Grimsby. They could be out of sight. And Christian Doidge, who had a brilliant season last season, kept them up in truth, didn't they, with his 25 goals. So the last we heard from the DW, Sheffield Wednesday were trying to find their way back into the game against Wigan. They may just have done that, Neil.
Yeah, they've got a goal. They've got themselves back into this game. It's now 3-2. It's good play down the left-hand side by Adam Reach. He's got a little bit of time and space to deliver the ball into the penalty area. He's only just come on the pitch, Lucas João. He's a big lad, big presence. He gets hold of it. You're thinking he's going to shoot on the edge of the penalty area. Clever ball, just in behind that Wigan defence. Foresty area with a lovely run. Keeps his shot hard and low. Wednesday back in it, 3-2.
Halifax are 2 up now against Braintree. Nathan Clark has got that goal in Scotland in the 2nd Division. Annan lead by a goal to nil. Sonkor has got the goal against Elgin City, and Martin Allen will be celebrating. That's Chesterfield's first National League goal, and it has come at the home of big spending Ebbsfleet as well as Zavon Hines, who in the dim and distant past was on West Ham United's books. He's the man who's got his first Chesterfield goal. It has come from the penalty spot. They lead by a goal to nil. Big gas from Ian Dowie. What happened at the Hawthorn?
Well, they should be ahead, really. It's, Chris Brunt, they give away corners at their peril. And don't get me wrong, Bolton are really good at dealing with set pieces, but the quality delivery from that left-hand side is superb. He bends this one, it sort of comes in with real pace. It drops to the head of that man Hegazi. He heads it into the ground. You think he's going in, it's tipped over the bar by Ben Amwick, but then seconds later, another great chance, another great delivery, this time blocked on the line.
Darren Way, the Oval manager, must be pulling his hair out because I mentioned last season they got 10 red cards. In 3 games, they were reduced to 9 players. 3 times they had 2 players sent off. They're down to 9 in the opening game of this season. Talk about not learning your lesson. It's goalless at the moment at Gig Lane. Bury 0, Yeovil 0. But first Tom James and now Jordan Green have both seen red for Yeovil. Back with more in just a few seconds' time. Coventry led with a goal from Tony Andrew, but you can see Scunthorpe are back on level terms at the Rico. Let's hear about it now from Bob Hall.
They've only got themselves to blame, in fact, Coventry, because they've had all the possession. Midway into the Scunthorpe half, suddenly they dilly-dallied, lost the ball, and Stephen Humphreys, who's on loan from Fulham, put the ball well past the goalkeeper, so it's 1 each.
Mitch Albion and Bolton Wanderers all square at 1 apiece. You get the feeling, Ian Dowie, that scoreline may not stay that way for much longer.
Absolutely. It's really opened up, and this time it's a really good ball from Noon into the box, and at the back post on his own is Josh McGuinness. He heads it. It's a really good save by Sam Johnson. I think Josh will think he maybe should have scored. He had it sort of straight at him, so unbelievable opportunity to put Bolton ahead, but still 1-1.
Birmingham still lead by a goal to nil. Jack Mankhomer was the man who got the goal for Birmingham City at St Andrews against Norwich. I mentioned the fact that they'd sold their top 2 goal scorers have Norwich City. They look a bit short of firepower to you, Matt Murray.
Yeah, they do, and Daniel Farkas made a double substitution. Shrabini and Leitner have come on, but Jordan Rhodes, who had a chance in the first half, apart from that, he's been starved from service, looks really, really isolated, and Norwich have only had 1 chance really in this half, and that's when Shrabini, the substitute, combined. But again, brilliant Birmingham defending to get across and make the block. So the goalkeeper for Birmingham has hardly been tested at all, and Birmingham comfortably lead 1-0.
It's 1 clean sheet in 24 away games now for Queen's Park Rangers. They trail by a goal to nil against Preston North End. Any glimmer of hope for Queen's Park Rangers fans? Bianca Westwood.
Not really as it stands. Preston are still on top, still in control, well organised defensively. If anything, they could be a bit more clinical because they've had plenty of chances to really put this game out of sight. Josh Harrop had a lovely effort from about 30 yards, which skimmed the crossbar, and Callum Robinson, who's been a real threat all afternoon, he had a really good effort that was parried by Ingram in QPR's goal. It still remains 1-0 to Preston North End.
Cambridge not been the busiest in the transfer market so far, and 3-0 down against Port Vale now. And I mentioned Tom Pope before, and you can see what he's done. He's got 2 of the 3 goals now. Doncaster Rovers are another side who are enjoying an absolutely fantastic start to the season. Grant McCann, of course, is the new man in charge there, and Tommy Rowe is the scorer of their 3rd goal. Marquis and Wilkes have got the other goals. They hadn't scored in their previous 5 games, so they are making up for it today. I didn't mention earlier in the day the number of points that Rochdale dropped last season from winning positions. 32 it was. Now, they led by 2 goals to nil against Burton Albion at the Pirelli Stadium, but as you can see now, not quite so comfortable, Mike Jones.
No, John Bregford's shot across the box was saved by Josh Lillis, but he could only push it into the path of Liam Boyce, and from close range he wasn't going to miss, and then fired it home to make it Burton 1, Rochdale 2.
Liam Boyce came down from Scotland last season, but missed virtually the whole campaign due to injury, showing what he can do when he is fit. Last we heard from Highbury, wasn't much threat at all from Fleetwood. They trailed Wimbledon by a goal to nil. Have they managed to work up a head of steam yet, Peter Smith?
Well, they just had a shot blocked on the 6-yard box. They've only had one chance in the second half. Tommy Spur with an angle effort that came from a corner. But Kwesi Appiah for Wimbledon's had 2 chances to extend the away team's lead. 1 inch wide of the far post. Another attempt pushed away two-handed by the Fleetwood keeper, Alex Kearns. Still 1-0 Wimbledon.
Smashing game at the moment at the DW Stadium. Wigan leading Sheffield Wednesday by 3-2. Wednesday having reduced the arrears, but no sign that Wigan are sitting back and just trying to hold on to what they've got, Neil.
Well, they've just had a goal disallowed. James Vaughan has come on as a substitute. The linesman's flags denied him. It was massive with the shot. I think he was just a yard or so. He tapped it in the net, just straight offside. Just before that, Massey had an effort, which was really well saved by Dawson. And just before that, Vaughan had a header which rattled the crossbar. It's all Wigan as they try and extend their lead again, 3-2.
Josh Todd, who joined Queen of the South from St Mirren, has made it 2-2 in the game against Morton. And Barrow are out of sight now against Haverton Waterlooville. They lead by 3-0 Haverton Waterlooville. It's a harsh start to their life in the National League, isn't it? And 2 goals now for Jack Hindle in that game. Should be maximum points for Ian Everts' side. Portsmouth leading Luton by a 0 in League One. Of course, Luton promoted last season, and last season, well, the one thing Luton did was they scored goals. Is there any sign of a Luton equaliser? Dickie Davis.
They've done everything today apart from score goals. They're playing really well. Elliot Lee and Pelly Ruddock starting to pull all the strings in midfield. Elliot Lee, laid it on for James Collins, killed it round the keeper. That came back off the bar. Then he slipped in Cornick. Cornick shot saved by the keeper. And in the end of the first half, they've hit the inside of the post as well. They're having a real go. Still 1-0 to Portsmouth, though.
Not a great year for Stevenage so far, is it? They were 2 goals up against Tranmere Rovers. They've been pegged back to 2-2. And now they've had John Hunt sent off with still 16 minutes of that game to go. 2 apiece is the scoreline there. Ipswich 1, Blackburn Rovers 2 at Portman Road. Who looks the most threatening, Mick?
Well, they've got a free kick now, Blackburn, and it's Charlie Mulgrew over it. I think he's a bit too far out to have a strike, but I wouldn't know. He's got a wonderful left foot, Charlie. But they're lining it up as if they're going to put it in the box. Let's wait and see. It's coming in any second now. It was a poor tackle by Chamber, although he says he's claiming he got the ball. I'm not so sure. Anyway, it's a free kick and he's going to deliver it. When he's finally blown his whistle, he has. And he's put it over the bar. Disappointing. Waited a long time, but it was disappointing.
They still lead by 2-1. David Artell will have enjoyed today. He's the Crewe manager, but of course he's a former Morecambe player as well. And Crewe just got a 4th goal, and James Jones is the man who got that 4th goal. Let's go back down to Ashton Gate. Bristol City against Nottingham Forest. 1 apiece is the scoreline. Now, I asked Tony Cotty a moment or two ago if there was any sign at all that we might see Mo Icer. Is there any sign at all that we might see Lewis Grabban, Tony?
He's on, Jeff. He's just come on for Daryl Murphy, the goal scorer. So he's had a couple of nice little touches so far, been involved in the game. And then at the other end, excuse me, you asked about Mo Icer. They did make the 2 substitutions. Icer didn't come on, but Corey Smith and Matt Taylor did. Joe Bryan's had the best effort last few minutes for Bristol City. Come inside, left back, right foot shot, easy save from the keeper. But at the moment, hard to call this one, still level.
Seen 1 or 2 disappointing free kicks on this opening day of the season, but none quite as disappointing as the one that Bolton have just provided.
Yeah, and a really good opportunity. Probably 2 yards outside the box. Fancy Craig Noon, that sort of right side of the pitch, so suits the left foot. He blazes it into Rose Head. Very, very poor.
Now, what about Paul Tissell? Is he going to go off to a winning start as the new MK Dons manager? They were comfortable, 2 goals to the good against Oldham, but Oldham reduced the arrears before half-time. Are Oldham pressing for an equaliser, fake or others?
They are, Jeff. It's not comfortable for Paul Tidsdale's side at the moment. Chris O'Grady, who signed from Chesterfield, has come on for Oldham and is causing them all sorts of problems, but it's still 2-1 leading at the moment.
Still leading by 2-1. Remember, they lost 23 times last season. They were relegated first time in 10 years. They've been down at this level. Back to the game at St Andrews, Birmingham City against Norwich City. Norwich looking a bit short of firepower the last we heard, but Birmingham needing another goal just to kill this one off, Matt Murray.
Yeah, and they just had a set piece, and they are trying to kill it off. Jay Adams is working hard, he's working tirelessly up front, but chances aren't quite dropping for him. So they just had a set piece there, killed in by Pedersen, but Tim Krul came to take it. Norwich now have made all 3 substitutions, but at the moment, Birmingham are as comfortable as you can be when it's 1-0, because Norwich not really threatening.
I mentioned earlier, Notts County, by League 2 standards, spent a lot of money in this close season, but still being held by Colchester. Notts County threatening to make a breakthrough. Michelle Owen.
just as you came to me, they had a golden effort that's just gone over the bar from Christian Dennis. He was stretching, but he didn't quite get to it. But it's Colchester that probably had the best chance of this half, and it's been a half of few chances. Tom Eastman, a lovely 1-2 with Aaron Collins, gets into the box and curls it, but it hits the bar. Still 0-0 here.
And just a glimmer of hope, no more than that for Chris Powell's Southend United. They've got a goal back. Tom Hopper, the former Scunthorpe player, has scored his first Southend United goal. They trail by 3-1 now against Doncaster Rovers. So goals galore on this opening day of the Football League season. Birmingham leading by a goal to nil against Norwich. Brentford have got 4, 2 of those for Neil Mopay against Rotherham. Bristol City and Nottingham Forest still level at 1 apiece. Blackburn still lead by 2-1 at Ipswich, as they have done for some time now. Millwall 2 up against Middlesbrough. Preston a goal up against Queen's Park Rangers. West Brom and Bolton 1 apiece, and Wigan lead by 3-2 against Sheffield Wednesday, and are both out of sight really against Montrose right now. They lead by 3-0. Bobby Lynn has got 2 of those 3 goals now, and also in Scotland, St Mirren. Good start for Alan Stubbs' side so far, at least. Alan Stubbs back in the management game, and of course we all wish him well, taking over from Jack Ross, and St Mirren's second goal, like their first, has come from Daniel Mullen. They lead by 2-1, and staying in Scotland in the First Division. Forfar have been pegged back by Airdrie, and Ryan Conroy is the man who has got the equalising goal. 1 apiece is the scoreline. We're back with more in a couple of minutes on this Gillette Soccer Saturday. Long time since Edinburgh City have scored 4, but they have against Albion Rovers today. A hat-trick for Blair Henderson, now Alan Smith. Eastleigh in the National League. Stuart Donald, of course, their owner's left and gone to Sunderland. But Eastleigh doing OK without him at the moment. They lead by virtue of a Paul McCallum penalty against Solihull Moors. And a second goal for Christian Doidge and a 4th for Forest Green. Terrible start of the season for Grimsby at home. Airdrie 2-1 up against 4 for Leighton. McIntosh has got that. And Lewis Longridge has got his second goal for Dunfermline. They lead 3-1 against Dundee United. Coventry took the lead against Scunthorpe United down in League One. There's been a third goal. Who's in front now, Bob Hall?
It is Scunthorpe, and after we got through a very dull goalless first half, we've had 3 goals, and well done to Scunthorpe. They really have pushed Coventry all the way, and Stephen Humphreys, who scored the last goal, was the man who set this one up for Andy Dales. Nice little push through to him. The goalkeeper had no chance. It's Coventry 1, Scunthorpe 2.
It is his first senior goal. Could be an important goal as well. Barnsley, what a start this has been to Daniel Stendhal's first game in charge. His Barnsley management career is going to get off with 3 points and 3 goals, Bryn Law.
At least 3 goals, yeah. Quite a second half, but they've come alive emphatically in this second half with a match-winning goal. This time it was a long ball from the back. It was played into the path of Mowat. Mowat into Potts. Potts took his time, picked his spot, top corner, 3-0.
3-0 the scoreline there. A couple of great chances have come and gone at Portman Road, Mick.
Yeah, they have. Well, Ben Morris is just getting in now on this chance. He scores goals if he gets his chance. He's threatened to shoot with his right foot, cutting in on his left foot, and the goalkeeper's made a good save, Raya, to be fair to him. But we saw it about 5 or 6 minutes ago, where Bradley Dack has got back to the byline, cut it back, and it was Casey Palmer who got a chance, didn't really hit it. It was blocked on the line by Wolfenden. But chances, yeah, it's opening up a little bit.
Birmingham been leading for quite a while now against Norwich by goals. No, Birmingham don't score many goals. They do score. They need to make the most of it. But they haven't, Matt Murray.
No, because Ono Hernandez has just made it 1-1, and you feel for young Truman in the Birmingham City goal, because he's made a brilliant save to deny Rhodes in the first half. An even better one only minutes ago to deny Rhodes from probably 2 or 3 yards out, point-blank save. But now, Ono Hernandez, who's probably been the best player for Norwich City, gets the ball on the right, cuts inside, and the left foot low into the bottom corner. Keeper gets a hand on it, can't keep it out. 1-1 here.
Kilmarnock, the 2 up against St Johnstone. Mikael Njoli has got that second goal, and Solihull Moors were not behind for long in the National League at Eastleigh. They're back on level terms. Eddie Yusuf has got the goal. Of course, Tim Flowers is the man who is in charge in the absence of Mark Yates, who's moved on to Macclesfield. Let's go and find out what's happening down at Ashton Gate. Bristol City all wrapped up one apiece with Nottingham Forest. Who looks the most likely, do you think, Tony?
Just cancelling each other out at the moment, Jeff. A couple of weak efforts. Carvalho's shot easily saved by the goalkeeper. And at the other end, the sub, Corey Smith, he had a shot from outside the box. Again, Pantilimon, easy save from him. Mo Isa has come onto the pitch now, and so has Joe Lolly for Forest. At the moment, 1-1, and it's not looking like either team's going to score, Jeff.
Brian Cameron had a little spell down at Cheltenham, back in Scotland. Now he's got the equalising goal for Elgin against Annan, and Airdrie out of sight now. Vittoria has got their 3rd goal against 4 for the signing from Albion Rovers, and that should guarantee maximum points. No guarantees of maximum points at all at Hawthorns at the moment. West Bromwich Albion getting back level against Bolton Wanderers. You thought they might take control at that stage, but they haven't really, Ian Down.
No, they haven't. No, it's been much more an even second half, and it's got a bit end-to-end. Just as we speak, for the last 4 or 5 minutes, it's been dominated by West Brom. But they haven't. Ollie Burke's come on, which gives me, injection of pace. He took Harvey Barnes off. It's probably a little less creativity, a bit more directness from Ollie Burke. And they just haven't really tested the keeper enough. Though Ben Annex hardly had a save to make. And this is what Bolton do. They are resolute defensively, so it's still 1-1.
If you play Super 6 today and you're hoping to win £1 million, I can tell you that one Super 6 player is one Birmingham City goal away from the jackpot. Let's see if there's any sign of a Birmingham City goal. Matt Murray.
Well, they've now got a free kick in a dangerous position, but it's very nearly Norwich who they got the equaliser and nearly went ahead. Hernandez again, flowing move from Norwich. Hernandez on the right, one touch to steady himself, and then drills his effort just wide of the far post. But now a free kick comes in, but it looks like Norwich have defended it. So look, could go either way, Jeff. 1-1.
Dundee United have got to go back against Dunfermline, giving themselves a glimmer of a chance. It's Fraser Aird, who's a former Dunfermline player himself, who has got that goal. And there could be some nervous moments to come for Millwall supporters down at the Den. Johnny Phillips.
Yeah, a lifeline for the travelling Borough fans who've come down in their hordes today, and they finally had something to cheer about. It was Marcus Tavernier, the substitute, with some really, really determined work inside the penalty area to get to the ball, beat his marker and poke a cross in. And there, right on the 6-yard line, was Martin Braithwaite, who just sort of tapped it underneath the keeper. It's a bit of a scrappy goal for Millwall to concede, but it's given Borough a lifeline with 7 or 8 minutes to go here.
Lifeline for Middlesbrough. They trailed by 2 goals to 1. Some good chances down at Ashton Gate as well. Bristol City and Forest, Tony.
Yeah, just a long-range shot from Joe Loddy. I said he'd come on as a sub, Jeff. It was a really decent save. A good effort, 25 yards. Good save from the Bristol City keeper. 3 minutes left.
3 minutes remaining there. Is there going to be any Queen's Park Rangers equaliser in the game at Preston leading through that Alan Brown goal? What do you think, Bianca?
Well, they almost did. It's always risky at 1-0, and they almost level QPR just now. Luke Freeman with a free kick on the right-hand side. It fell to Alan Brown, who headed it away. Idrissa Silla, 5 yards out, gets his shot away, but it's a fantastic fingertip save by Declan Rudd to keep the scoreline at 1-0.
Ross County won at Alloa in the League Cup in the last couple of weeks. They're taking the lead as well now against Alloa at home today. Marcus Fraser has got an Eastleigh 1, Solihull Moors 2, and Dan Sweeney is the man who has got the goal to put the visitors in front. And Harrogate, this could be a historic day for them. Kelvin Langmead has got a goal, and they lead Sutton by 2 goals to win their first ever game at this level. That's National League level. Mick McCarthy has his head in his hands once again. What happened, Mick?
Oh, Grant Edwards has picked the ball up. He's just inside his own half. He's flicked it over the defender, Derek Williams. He's got past him. He's took it. He's shown some great bits of skill. Tried to take it on the outside, come on the inside, and he's had a shot. It's been blocked for a corner kick, so they just take it. But a great bit of skill. They'll be loving him. Ipswich fans will love him.
Absolutely loving him, that is for sure. By the way, that goal for Middlesbrough means there's now one player in our Super Six who is one West Brom goal away from winning the £1 million. That's how quickly it can change. Montrose 0, Arbroath 4, Kane Hester in the 93rd minute. Southend making a real fight of this. They were 3-0 down against Doncaster Rovers, but Theo Robinson has scored to reduce the arrears to just a single goal now. They trail by 3 goals to 2, and it's been quite a game at the DW Stadium, and who knows, there could be a twist in it yet, Neil Mellor.
Yeah, and it's Sheffield Wednesday who are throwing everything at it. They've just made another substitute. 4 attackers are out there. Fletcher's out there. Nuhiu, Zhao and Forestieri. There will be more added time because we've had injuries and stoppages this second half.
Berwick Rangers have beaten Stirling Albion by 1 goal to 0. Arbroath have won by 4 goals to 0 against Montrose. Somebody at home is going to be sitting and kicking and cursing that Middlesbrough have scored, because we said they were a Birmingham goal away from the £1 million. They're not anymore. And would you believe what's just happened? Matt Murray.
Yeah, the substitute, Viv Solomon. Otterbohr has just made it 2-1 to Birmingham City. Norwich have been on the attack. Then it was just a long ball over the top. Takes out the Norwich defence, and there's Otterbohr as Krul comes out to him. He's calm, he's cool, he just slots the ball past the goalkeeper. St Andrews erupts. Is that the winner? 2-1.
Edinburgh City have beaten Albion Rovers by 4 goals to 0. Peterhead and Queen's Park 1 apiece, the scoreline there. Dumbarton have beaten East Fife by 2 goals to 0. Can West Brom eke out a victory against Bolton Wanderers? 1 apiece, the scoreline. Ian Down.
Very end-to-end, and this time it's Bolton attacking. Josh Vella's just got a corner to put in now, and they've had 1 or 2 moments. He delivers it into the box.
He's off.
They're very good at set piece. Heads it. Here's a goal. Looks like there may be no, it's a goal. Bolton have scored. It gets clipped down into the box, and I think it's Wilshere who just hooked it over the line. Good header from Wheater, bounces down, hooks it into the corner. 2-1 Bolton.
Well, if it is Wilshere, it'll be a debut goal. Of course, he's joined on loan from Norwich, and Bolton Wanderers going to upset West Bromwich Albion at the Hawthorns. So it would seem 2 goals to 1 is the scoreline there, and a red card, as you can see, in the game at the DW Stadium. Neil Mellor.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday down to 10 men. The cross is coming in from the left-hand side, and Nuhiu's there. He goes to challenge for the ball. The defender gets there ahead of him, Kipra. The striker's got to go for the ball. He catches the defender. The referee, second yellow card, a very harsh one for me.
Livingston have got a goal back. They trail by 3 goals to 1 now against Celtic. No more than consolation for Kenny Miller's side up at Celtic Park. Scott Robinson is the man who's got that goal. Ben Goodliff of Dagenham and Redbridge has been sent off in the National League, and they trail by 1 goal to 0 at Boreham Wood. Crewe have got a 5th goal against Morecambe. It's Chris Porto, who missed a deal of last season through injury, who's the man who's got the 5th goal there. It's a fantastic start to them. And Bury back down at League 2 level, where they're playing Yeovil, who are down to 9 men, and Gold Omateo has struck gold as far as Bury are concerned, and they lead by 1 goal to 0 in that one. There's confirmation it was Yannick Wilshere that got that goal. Both lead by 2 goals to 1. Dunfermline have won by Dundee United. Won at Dundee United by 3 goals to 2. Is there still any hope for Ipswich fans? They're very nervous at Portman Road at the moment. Has there been any discomfort, any nervous, edgy moments for Blackburn, Mick?
Oh, there has for Blackburn. We had Ben Morris's shot with Gwyn Edwards, that brilliant bit of play he's got in it. It wasn't a save, actually. It was a block by a defender. And it's wide open, and you're just thinking it's somebody who'll make a mistake, if anybody makes a mistake. But Blackburn have been fairly solid since getting in front. I think they've managed the game particularly well. I do think that Edun, who came on, he's made a real impression. I've been impressed by him. But, you know, Blackburn have put Craig Conway on, Casey Palmer on, Joe Nottill's. They've put some good subs on, and they've pretty much managed the game so far. So it'd be a surprise if they did, but they've got a free kick now, and it's definitely going in the box.
Thanks, Mick. Kilmarnock beaten St Johnstone by 2 goals to 0. No dream start to League One life for Accrington. They lost at home to Gillingham by 2 goals to 0. Is it kitchen sink time, I wonder, down at the Den as far as Middlesbrough are concerned? Johnny Phillips.
It is a bit. Millwall have been rattled by Braithwaite's goal, and Neil Harris has taken both his strikers off to try and shore things up at the back, but it's inviting pressure on, and Middlesbrough are launching it forward. We're deep into 5 minutes of injury time, but there could be one last chance left in this one. It's still 2-1 to Millwall.
Michael Harriman of Wickham has been sent off against Blackpool. It is goalless. There is a fourth goal. There is late drama at Portman Road. What's happened, Mick?
Well, it was a free kick that I said it was going to put in the box, and they didn't. They gave it to Gwion Edwards, and he turned back on. He came, looked like he was going to cross it, turned back on his left foot, came out. It's come out to Edun, Teo Edun, who's actually, he's cut in on the inside, and he's just put a ball in, and it's just gone right in the far corner. It's a cross shot. It's gone past everybody, nobody's got a touch on it, and it's ended up in the far corner. And it's a goal on his debut, but he's impressed him. It looks like a...
You were singing his praises, Mick, so he's got his reward for a terrific effort, and it is back to level pegging. 2 apiece is the scoreline there. The woodwork has been rattled at the Hawthorns, but by who, Ian Dowie?
By West Brom, ball in, it's Hegazi, heads it against the bar, and then cleared away. Obviously, it's a bit siege mentality. There's another ball into the box. Again, brilliantly cleared, this time by Beavers. I mean, Beavers and Wheater have been excellent for most of the defensive. Really good pace shown there initially by Oliver Burke to stop a marauding attack. It's going to go route one. Here it goes, pumps it into the box. And again, a really good defensive header there. Well-disciplined Bolton, still 2-1.
Brentford have got a 5th goal against Rotherham. Lewis McLeod has got that, and Crewe have gone one better than that. They've got 6 against Morecambe and 2 for James Jones. Let's go and hear about Brentford's 5th. Rob Palmer.
Beautiful move, lots of ticky-tacky passing on the edge of the area. It could have been any one of 5 players that would have scored it. Eventually came to Lewis McLeod, firm-footed into the back of the net. It's only the fans behind the goal and the terraces have received a tanning. So have Rotherham.
Sutton have broken Harrogate Hearts by the looks of it. They've got an equalising goal. 2-2 is the scoreline there. A Jamie Collins penalty in the 93rd minute of that goal. It looks like a winning start for Matt Taylor. Hard act to follow, Paul Tisdale, but doing OK at the moment. 3-1 is the scoreline there. And Tristan Abrahams is the man who's got their 3rd goal. He is on loan from Norwich City. Now, how are Tristan Abrahams' parent club, Norwich, doing at St Andrews? Trailing 2-1 the last we heard. There's been another goal. Matt Murray.
Yeah, Hernandez just made it. Desmond here, brilliant finish. And Birmingham City, they brought the subs on. They were trying to see the game out, but it's Hernandez who goes through. This is a really, really cool, calm finish. I'm not sure where the Birmingham defence have gone, but Hernandez goes through. He's got time to think about it, slots it past the keeper, and a big away support of Norwich are going absolutely crazy. 2-2 here.
2 goals for Hernandez. Walsall have beaten Plymouth Fleetwood 0. No winning start for Joey Barton. They've lost by a goal. And Barnsley have got a 4th goal against Oxford. Adebayola has got that goal. He's finished all square in the game down at Ashton Gate. Bristol City 1, Nottingham Forest 1, and that's the scoreline as well. Not the scoreline, I beg your pardon, at the Hawthorns. It's all over at the Hawthorns as well. And a big upset as far as West Brom are concerned. They've lost at home to Bolton Wanderers by 2-1. Terrific win. McGuinness and Wilshut, the goal scorers. There, Peterborough 2, Bristol Rovers 1. Tom Lockyer has got that goal. I mentioned a minute or 2 ago, it was kitchen sink time for Middlesbrough. They've thrown it, and it's hit the target, Johnny Phillips.
Incredible scenes here, Jeff. The Middlesbrough supporters are going absolutely spare away in the away end. It's an absolute smash and grab. They deserve nothing from this game. They're going to get a point out of it. It was a scramble forward. Lewis Wing, I think it was, who took a shot into a hugely crowded box. Couple of deflections. It hit George Friend 4 or 5 yards out. Everyone tried to lunge in on it, and Friend toe poked it over the goal line. Incredible. 2-2.
George Friend with the equalising goal, 2 apiece the scoreline. Stenhouse Mirror beaten Brecon by a goal to 0. Brecon still haven't won since April 2017. Rochdale won away at Burton by 2 goals to 1. Peterborough beaten Bristol Rovers by 2 goals to 1. Coventry 1, Scunthorpe 2. Could there yet be a winner at Portman Road? Mick McCarthy.
Well, they could, and if it is, it's going to be Ipswich by the looks of this. They've had a good last couple of minutes. Gwion Edwards has been different class, I have to be honest. And of course, Edun's, he's just finished. Edun's got his goal. 2 of them have scored on the debuts. They've been excellent. And Blackburn just looked like they were trying to manage it, and they've never had any real chances since. And if there's going to be a winner, it's going to be Ipswich, but it's finished 2-2.
And there's the young boy who's got the equalising goal. Toyo Eden, the goal scorer there, deserved it for his second half performance as well. Ipswich 2. Blackburn Rovers 2. Crewe have settled for 6 against Morecambe. There's confirmation of Middlesbrough's equalising goal. It's finished Birmingham 2, Norwich City 2. And Stevenage 2, Tranmere 2. Good point for Tranmere. They were 2-0 down in that game. Almost late drama in the game at the DEW Stadium. Neil Mellor.
Yeah, nearly an equalising goal for Sheffield Wednesday. Christian Walton, the Wigan goalkeeper, what a save he's made to deny Stephen Fletcher what looked like a certain equalising goal.
Will Vaulks has got a goal. It's not one he's going to remember, though, down at Griffin Park, because his side trail by 5 goals to 0 at the time that he scored the goal. So no more than a consolation goal for Vaulks late in the game, in the 92nd minute of that game, to reduce the arrears by to 5 goals to 1. Portsmouth have got off to a winning start against newly promoted Luton. They won courtesy of Jamal Lowe's first half goal. Luton failing to score on the return to the third tier for the first time since 2008. They usually get goals, don't they? Ebbsfleet 0, Chesterfield 1. Great start as far as Martin Allen's side. Relegated, well, consecutive relegations for them, but Zavon Hines' penalty has settled the issue down at Stonebridge Road, and they have won by a goal to nil. Wycombe Wanderers 0, Blackpool 0. Wycombe finishing with 10 men in that game after Harriman was sent off. It has finished 0-0. It's all over in the game at the DW Stadium. Great start for newly promoted Paul Cook's side, 2 for Jacobs and 1 for Powell. They've won by 3 goals to 2 against the Sheffield Wednesday side, who finished with 10 men. Maidstone 1, Hartlepool 1. Point for Hartlepool in their opening game of the season, thanks to Liam Noble's equaliser after Blair Turgott's penalty. We will take that. Harrogate on Tuesday night. Bury 1, Yeovil 0. Yeovil down to 9 men. Tom James sent off, then Jordan Green. They paid the price. A Bury winner late in the day by Amateo for them. There's confirmation of the Wigan scoreline. It's finished Aldershot 0, Barnet 0. John still in charge of Barnet, relegated last season, and Lincoln City have made a winning start at the Sixfield Stadium against Northampton. And Matt Green, the top goal scorer of last season, got 17 last season. He's the man who's got them off to a flying start today. Got the only goal of the game. It came in the second half. The Football League Trophy winners, of course, they lost to the playoffs as well last season. Barnsley, what a start for their new man in charge, Daniel Stendhal. They won by 4 goals to 0 against Oxford United. Mamadou Thiam got a couple of those goals. Brad Potts helps himself to 1 as well. Boreham Wood, despite the fact they've sold a lot of their attacking players, they've beaten Dagenham and Redbridge by a goal to Angelo Balanta. Wants some Queen's Park Rangers books. He's the man who's got the goal. Goodliff sent off for Dagenham and Redbridge, managed by Peter Taylor today, of course, but no joy for the former England manager. He's seen his side lose at Meadow Park by a goal to 0. Well, it's been a fantastic first day of the Football League season, hasn't it? Or first Saturday of the Football League season. Let's have a classified check on all the results with Alan Lambourne.
The Sky Bet Championship. Birmingham City 2, Norwich City 2. Brentford 5, Rotherham United 1. Still playing in that game. Bristol City 1, Nottingham Forest 1. Ipswich Town 2, Blackburn Rovers 2. Millwall 2, Middlesbrough 2. Preston North End 1, Queen's Park Rangers 0. That Brentford and Rotherham match is now a result. West Bromwich Albion 1, Bolton Wanderers 2. Wigan Athletic 3, Sheffield Wednesday 2. The Sky Bet League 1. Accrington Stanley 0, Gillingham 2. Barnsley 4, Oxford United 0. Burton Albion 1, Rochdale 2. Coventry City 1, Scunthorpe United 2. Fleetwood Town 0, Wimbledon 1. Peterborough United 2, Bristol Rovers 1. Portsmouth 1, Luton Town 0. Shrewsbury Town 0, Bradford City 1. Southend United 2, Doncaster Rovers 3, match not yet finished. Sunderland 2, Charlton Athletic 1. Walsall 2, Plymouth Argyle 1. Wycombe Wanderers 0, Blackpool 0. Sky Bet League 2. Bury 1, Yeovil Town 0. Cheltenham Town 0, Crawley Town 1. Crewe Alexandra 6, Morecambe 0. Exeter City 3, Carlisle United 1. Grimsby Town 1, Forest Green Rovers 4. Mansfield Town 3, Newport County 0. Northampton Town 0, Lincoln City 1. Notts County 0, Colchester United 0. Oldham Athletic 1, Milton Keynes Dons 2. Latest score. Port Vale 3, Cambridge United 0. Stevenage 2, Tranmere Rovers 2. Swindon Town 1, Macclesfield Town 2, also a later score. The Vanarama National League. Fylde 2, Bromley 1. Aldershot Town 0, Barnet 0. Barrow 3, Havant and Waterlooville 0. Boreham Wood 1, Dagenham and Redbridge 0. Braintree Town 0, Halifax Town 2. Dover Athletic 0, Wrexham 1. Eastleigh 1, Solihull Moors 2. Ebbsfleet United 0, Chesterfield 1. Harrogate Town 2, Sutton United 2. Maidenhead United 1, Gateshead 3. Maidstone United 1, Hartlepool United 1. Salford City 1, Leyton Orient 1. The Ladbroke Scottish Premiership. Celtic 3, Livingston 1. Hamilton Academical 1, Heart of Midlothian 4. Kilmarnock 2, St Johnstone 0. St Mirren 2, Dundee 1. Ladbroke Scottish Championship. Ayr United 2, Partick Thistle 0. Dundee United 2, Dunfermline Athletic 3. Falkirk 0, Inverness Caledonian Thistle 1. Morton 2, Queen of the South 2. Ross County 1, Alloa Athletic 0. Ladbroke Scottish League 1, East Fife 0, Dumbarton 2. Forfar Athletic 1, Adrionians 3. Montrose 0, Arbroath 4. Stenhousemuir 1, Brechin City 0. Stranraer 1, Wraith Rovers 1. And Ladbroke Scottish League 2, Annan Athletic 1, Elgin City 1. Berwick Rangers 1, Stirling Albion 0. Clyde 2, Cowdenbeath 0. Edinburgh City 4, Albion Rovers 0. And lastly, Peterhead 1, Queen's Park 1.
And you can see, as Alan Lambourne is reading those classified results, heartbreak for the new boys to League 2, Macclesfield and Mark Yates, because Swindon have equalised in the 96th minute, Jeff Collins.
Yes, it's a real topsy-turvy game here, which is still going on. Swindon hoping to snatch an absolute winner here. And it looks like they've been given a second penalty. Unbelievable here. What happened just a few minutes ago was that Elijah Adebayo was sized down in the box. The referee gave a penalty at first, but then the assistant linesman said it was offside. Then ensued a lengthy discussion. The referee reversed that decision, gave the penalty, and Michael Dirty scored, but only just. The Macclesfield Town keeper Rhys Taylor got a hand to it, but the ball did go to make it 2-2. We now have another penalty awarded, and Michael Dirty is about to take that penalty now, which could give the home side the winning goal and be an absolute heartbreak for Macclesfield Town, because the newcomers to the league have performed absolutely superbly this second half and were fully, to be quite honest, were fully deserving of their 2-1 lead. Swindon Town, though, 2 late penalties. They seem to have snatched the win from nowhere. Doughty steps up and he scores. Swindon Town look to have won this game 3-2.
Well, would you believe it? Penalties in the 96th and 98th minute. This is a day that Macclesfield fans on the return of the Football League will not forget for all the wrong reasons. It's a Michael Dirty hat-trick as well. The MK Dons have won in their first game under Paul Tisdale by 2-1 at Oldham. I just want to mention one player who's been on the score sheet today for a specific reason, and it's Ryan Edwards, who scored for Plymouth Argyle today. I think they've lost the game at Walsall by 2-1. But Ryan Edwards was diagnosed with testicular cancer last year. He scored his first goal for Plymouth today. So very well done, Ryan. A, on the recovery from testicular cancer. B, on the goal today, and commiserations that you've gone away with nothing in the end. But still, a day to remember. It was a day to remember as well for young Tayo Edun of Ipswich, who snatched an equalising goal against Blackburn Rovers in a 2-2 draw today. Do you know much about him, Mick?
Not really, no. I'm sure that they've been scouting him. We look at all the under-23s teams, and certainly the teams have got players in the England setup, which is under-20. But he came on and instantly he looked comfortable on the ball. I have to be honest, there's a couple of times he got caught in possession when he probably... the league is so quick and different to what he'd been playing in. But he was very comfortable. I mean, it's a cross that he's put in, but nevertheless, it's in the net. He'll not be bothered. Nobody else will be bothered, and it's a 2-2 draw because of it. But he impressed me there. But I'm just watching the screen again here, and it was Keon Edwards. He was different class. He's impressed everybody. Some great stuff there. He's taking Charlie Mulgrew. He's sent him for a loaf of bread and everything there. But excellent performance from him, and probably Ipswich. I think they deserved it there for the last 10-15 minutes. The equaliser.
Tony Mowbray will be disappointed though, won't he? Having seen his side take the lead, you'll have felt at that stage, it was just a case of holding on, and they had 1 or 2 opportunities as well.
Yeah, I don't think their substitutes had the same impression going on, because I can't say Craig Conway, but Casey Palmer going on really didn't do anything. Joe Nuttall went on, really didn't do anything. Certainly weren't as good as the players that went off. And you know what? You are as good as your bench. And we'd often said, when you put them on, go on and make an impression. And I don't think they did. And Ipswich gradually got back into the game. And I said after about the last 10 minutes, I'd have to say they deserved it. We've just seen a goal here from Edun. And it is just a cross. And it's one of those where people are running across the side of the keeper. It's finished in the bottom corner. But delighted for him because he looks a really good prospect.
He's not going to be telling anybody he meant that one, or he might be, but nobody's going to believe him, that's for sure.
It's his goal, no matter what it says. There's no diagram in the paper on the morning.
Absolutely it is, and it's an invaluable point as far as Paul Hurst is concerned.
I think Blackburn
first game.
They were managing the game. They didn't go on and try and get another goal. I know they had Casey Palmer had one shot block, but Ipswich really took the initiative the last 10 minutes. I said probably deserved it because of that, the equaliser.
And they played today, by the way, without Martin Waghorn because of all the transfer speculation. He wasn't included in the squad at all. 16 goals he got last season, so he would have been a miss in itself. But it's a point as far as Paul Hurst is concerned. Very decent start indeed in a 2-2 draw. Darren Moore would have wished that he could have taken a point in a 2-2 draw, that is, for sure. They were red hot favourites to beat Bolton Wanderers today. But Bolton have gone and won by 2-1. Did they deserve it, Ian?
Well, yeah, I'm going to say yes because of their resilience. You know, they started the game very much on the back foot. You know, they came out the traps quickly. There's a slickness to their passing. They looked inventive. They got the ball into Jay Rodriguez's feet. For me, he could have done a bit more with it. But anyway, they were bright and lively. They rode that sort of storm, and all of a sudden they come back into the game. And then they get a goal. Josh pops up with a goal, which is great for him on his debut. And then it's all West Brom, who then get back on level terms with a brilliant piece of skill from Harvey Barnes, nothing more. If you see it, it must bend 7 or 8 yards in the air. It goes right in the top corner. And then you think, second half, they're starting to go through the gears. I said to Neil, they're going through the gears here, West Brom. Some lovely flowing moves. But Wheater, you know, you think about the way he just chucks his body on the line. I loved the fact that he retired from international football, you know, because he had never been picked. So it's brilliant. So I'm retiring from international football. But, you know, the way in which they went about it, putting their bodies on the line, as did all the back four, and the keeper didn't really have a lot to do. And then they almost get their second win again. It's just like they sort of retreat in. They defend deep, they're very organised, then all of a sudden they get a bit of belief and they start getting a bit end-to-end, and he brings Wiltshire on, and it doesn't surprise me. I mean, set pieces, they've always been brilliant at them, and it comes from a set piece, delivered in, Wheater gets up, heads it down, and he's where he should be in front of the keeper, in front of the defender. He just hooks it. It's dribbling, but it goes in the corner, and they see the game out. So, hit the bar late on, Hegazi. But, you know, given what Bolton have been through, their players not being paid and all that's going on, yeah, they did, because he's got a really resolute bunch there. Parky, who's alongside Parkinson's assistant, Parky's a great lad. You know, he's a Barnsley fella, isn't he? And he's part of that. You see him, he's doing all the coaching and getting out there with his shorts on, running around the team after the game. It's great to see. There is a sort of a good spirit in that camp for me, and Phil's very understated in the way he goes about it, but Parky was celebrating like he'd won the World Cup then, and rightly so.
Yeah, and, you know, 28% possession they've won it on. By the way, they didn't have a league win last season until October the 14th, so this is a heck of a lot better start as far as they're concerned. And you know, they brought in quite a few players. The majority of them weren't even involved today, though Josh McGuinness only came in yesterday and has got the goal. But when you look at the West Bromwich Albion team and you see the sort of Premier League standard of some of those players, if you like, from Jay Rodriguez through to Matt Phillips, Jake Livermore, you know, England international, and what were they missing today?
Well, I think they missed a bit of spark at the forward end. I mean, there's a lot of speculation about Jay Rodriguez. He looked like that was on his mind because he wasn't at the race today. Very, very little impact in the game. Phillips, flat as the seas for me a little bit. Didn't do enough. Got some tremendous pace, but then the final ball's not quite good enough. The best passer on the pitch was Brunty, who popped it about, but didn't really get enough of the ball to hurt them. But
just when they're being relegated, teams are being relegated. Yeah. I remember that it was the last time now. It's 6 years ago since I'd missed a pre-season at the start of the season, and I was asked to do the two teams that had been relegated. And it was Bolton who were playing at Burnley, and Burnley bashed them. Bolton had gone down and Wolves had gone down, but Burnley got after them and beat them, and they really sorted them out. And then I was doing Wolves. The irony of that, I was doing Wolves at Leeds. And Leeds got after them and sorted them out. And I tell you, it's when you come down from the Premier League, you come back into the Championship, it's a hell of a... It don't have to wet you up. You've got to get going quickly. If you don't, you could be like Hull, who were down at the bottom of the league for long parts of the season, and Sunderland, who got relegated.
Yeah, and I think we talked about the styles. It doesn't matter. I mean, were they free-flowing and magnificent today? West Brom, definitely not. It may say they only had 28 possession, but Bolton were very much in that game. In the end, I think they probably created some better chances. So for me, Bolton, with the resources, like for like, I've got to say Bolton deserved to win.
Just were you a bit surprised that Gareth Barry didn't start today?
Very.
653 Premier League appearances. You'd be a shoe-in to play in his first Championship game.
I'm not sure I like Gareth Barry. I think he does things very, very well. And for me, Livermore was bright. The young boy Harvey Barnes got a great goal. But, you know, he will settle in. He's a young one, so you've got to be given time. But I like Gareth Barry, so he'd always be a pick for me because I like what he does. You know, he's very, very professional. He understands where it is. And he makes your team look better. Even though he may not be the standout player, he does the things that other people don't want to do. So for me, it's a huge blow. And the trouble is, this will be his next game. They play midweek, don't they? It's a big pressure game for Darren. Now, Darren's the loveliest man in football, you know, probably, and he had a brilliant end to the season. And yet, you know, in 4 games' time, people will be talking about ridiculously that will be under pressure if he doesn't win because they have got good resources.
One game still to come this evening in the Championship is Sheffield United against Swansea. Swansea relegated last season. Of course, Dean Henderson, John Egan and David McGoldrick all make their debuts for Chris Wilder's side at Bramall Lane today. Ben Woodburn has joined on loan from Liverpool. He's on the bench. For Swansea, a lot of players have left, of course. Joe Lasoro, Barry Mackay and Burson Salina all make their debuts. Ollie McBurney, who's been on loan at Barnsley last season, he makes a start for Swansea this evening. It is live on Sky Sports Football. In a couple of minutes, we'll have more reflections on what has happened today.